More NASCAR content? For all the latest in NASCAR, including driver interviews, race recaps, fantasy NASCAR, listener call-in shows, and awesome giveaways, tune in to the Lap Traffic Podcast on iTunes, Podbean, or your favorite hosting site with new shows every Tuesday night. Check out Lap Traffic on the web, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, and follow on Twitter at LapTrafficPC. Don't get caught chasing the lucky dog. Tune in each and every week to the Lap Traffic Podcast. See ya!
With the ButtKicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. ButtKicker, the future is feeling.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Full Send Racing Series. Tonight, we go short track racing, and it's exciting to see how this season has developed. Last week, it was all about fuel strategy as they went to Auto Club, and it was Joshua Altis that got himself into victory lane. Tonight, a completely different beast at hand. The short track racing aspect is now here. That of a 0.6 of a mile course that is going to be beaten and banging and drivers struggling to get around, and we're excited to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, I've got that of Trevor Earhart with me, as well as Robert Moyer, as you get to see the Full Send Racing Series come to Lucas Oil Motorsports Park, otherwise known as IRP. But for tonight, it's the MCI Graphics 185 presented by AMR Paintworks. Tonight, we're excited to give you all that coverage. And Trevor, short track racing style here tonight. I'm excited to see how these drivers get to attack this course.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see these drivers attack this course. You know, typically you run the high line here and makes it hard to pass, Sam. So I think we're going to see a lot of bump and runs tonight, and I'm looking forward to it.
Currently right now, the drivers are underway with qualifying. They're past halfway, and some drivers already top of the board. Ross Tatum, Joshua Altis from winner from last week, and a couple of other drivers that need some strong runs on top of the board as we get to see that of the 32, Chris Essery, who is about to finish up their time, but into the wall, and like that, their last lap invalidated. And Trevor, that's something we're expecting to see a lot here tonight.
Yeah, with having to run that high line, expect to see a lot of cars in or near the wall here tonight. And for Essery, that's going to mire him back there in about the middle of the pack, currently P11 for the 32 machine. So not the best qualifying run for him, and I think track position is going to be key here tonight.
Here comes that of Robert Sherwood, another one of the drivers from S&B Motorsports who had a fantastic run last week, trying to go with the fuel strategy while everyone else was not able to make it to the end of the race. These drivers did. That of Sherwood, that of Zachary Peterson, and then the winner of Joshua Altis as that of Sherwood comes across the line for their first lap. Going to be pumping up to 11th, but running the middle groove lane. I think that's the one thing I'm really curious on how the drivers attack. Been hearing the middle to high lane is where you want to feel the most comfortable. Curious on who can try to conquer that inside lane potentially here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out tonight. You know, you can run the middle here. I think the top line is going to dominate, but I'm sure we're going to see people use that middle line to their advantage, or maybe even dive all the way to the bottom to see what they can do to get a pass done.
Slide job moves, bumps and runs, and tons of grinding against that outside wall is what we're expecting here tonight for 185 laps. And there will be a stage break at that lap 60 for these drivers. One fast repair, three extra sets of tires in pit road to work with. But we're expecting these drivers to try to keep it calm for these first 60 laps. But it's time to see where they lie as qualifying is done and out of the way. It's time to take a look at our qualifying results, as it's going to be seeing the 11 of Ross Tatum burning it down for himself with a 22.731 lap time. Then behind him is going to be that of Joshua Altis in the 94, Ken Campbell in third, Chris Stitz in fifth, 6 goes to that of Cameron Sarton, Robert Sherwood's going to take 7th with that of David Keith Jr., one of the best qualifying runs the 23's had all season long, in 8th place, with 9th being Travis Dart, and then it's going to be Christopher Wade in that 10th place position.
Timmy McNally rolls off 11th with Zachary Peterson to his outside, Chris Esri 13th, Nick Holland 14th, Lyle Christensen rolls off 15th, Sam Siegel 16th, Martin Perry 17th, Michael J. Boyd rolls off 18th, Bo Tiffany and Ryan Lynch round out your top 20.
Then 21st position is going to be Philip Chavez with Aaron Hill in 22nd. John Dart's going to be in 23rd. And then in 25th is going to be Bill Dart with that of Brian Burchett in 26th. And 27th will be that of Doug Pierce, as that will be our 26 drivers expected to be on track, as some drivers will not be expected to be hitting the course. But Trevor, IRP, Lucas Oil Raceway, a track that is, honestly, when you look at it and expect to come to a short track, you're expecting a little bit of banking, but this track practically has none.
Yeah, it's very flat here at IRP, and really makes it hard to get passes done. And, it's going to be really hard for these drivers, especially, guys further back in the pack, to work their way up. So, Sam, I think we're going to see a lot of beating and banging here tonight. And if you got some issues with other drivers, we might see it come to head here tonight.
Tonight we're expecting a lot of racing to be on top of one another, but how much carnage will we get? Some drivers are giving us information on their predictions on how many yellows we potentially could have, not counting the stage break. Drivers were expecting anywhere from 7 to 9 yellows here tonight, which I think that's a pretty close low ball number. This track is very difficult. For some, they might not be aware of how much throttle input they're going to have, the torque that's in these vehicles, the horsepowers they've got to handle. It's going to be a beast from just the start. And I think that's going to be one of the things I'm curious on the most, is how will these drivers react on the start of this race on the restarts?
Yeah, the cold tires, these cars are going to be slick. It's going to be slick out there on these cold tires, and got to be very careful getting the throttle down, especially in the center of the corner. Very easy to spin these cars out, so these drivers are going to have to be super careful here on the start of the race.
Again, it's going to be Ross Tatum going to be up front in the 11, deciding to take the outside lane. Interesting call for that spray with the 11 machine, and Ross Tatum trying to find himself into victory lane here this season. We've got a lot of first-time winners all the way through. No one has won for a multitude of times. Everyone just has one win if they've got it, and Trevor, tonight could change that aspect.
It could very well. Ross Tatum, our winner from Kansas, has the best seat in the house right now, starting P1 and taking that preferred outside line on this restart, so expect him to get a good jump here and try to set the pace early.
As tonight, drivers are set up. It's race number 7. Will we get our 7th different winner of the season, or will someone become their first-time, multi-time winner of this season in total? There's still a lot of heavy, fast contenders that haven't found themselves in a victory lane, but up front are 2 drivers that have done it already this season. We're ready to go, short track racing style for the Full Send Racing Series, race number 7. The MCI Graphics 185 is green here tonight.
And Altice, great restart as Tatum spins the tires just a little bit there in the 11. That's going to allow the 94 to clear him into turn 1 and slide up in front of him as the battle back there for third heats up between the 15 and the 12.
Was expecting that outside line to be preferred, but Altis is already going to be gone and dusted over that of 3 to 4 car lengths ahead of that of Ross Tatum, the 94. He might have started second, but to the point and leading lap number 1 as Ross Tatum's under fire now. He's going to be having Ken Campbell to his outside.
It got a little loose there off of turn 4, got a little bit of a shot from the 15 to Ken Campbell there as the 11 struggles to get heat in the tires and get going, and might lose a spot here to the 12 of Andrew Medlin as he looks to the outside of the 11 machine.
As we take a look at back of the 11, trying to run the middle lane, but the outside looking more preferred as to the outer lane of that 11 is the 12 of Andrew Medlin, who is one of the drivers of note to watch out for. Medlin and Chris Stitz both tied for the last pole position for that of the playoffs for 12th in points. So we'll see how well they can work as our first caution comes out.
First caution on the racetrack here. We'll have to go back and take a look to see what happened. But Sam, 3 laps in, and we already got our first caution.
Looks to be the 101 of Philip Chavez. That looks to be the driver that brought out this yellow. As we take a freaky fast broadcasting instant replay to see what happened to Philip Chavez. And it looks like coming out of turn number 4, talked about throttle inputs and how much horsepower is in these cars. We've seen a lot of the drivers up front get loose out of the corners, and for Philip Chavez, looks like he just too much throttle, and away he goes.
Yeah, running that bottom line, trying to get back in the throttle early there to get a run off, and just a little bit too much throttle for the 101 machine and a hard contact to the inside wall. But looks like he can get that fixed and get back out there. So no harm, no foul for Chavez. Just got to be a little bit more careful there when you're on the bottom.
And I was looking at our timing board, and what was interesting, Travis Dart, one of the drivers that actually in the 6 qualified that of 9th on the board, but didn't feel comfortable being in the middle of the field, decided to start on pit road, was the 6 machine. So he's going to have to work himself all the way through this field as a couple of drivers hit pit road. Going to be Ryan Lynch, Philip Chavez, and Aaron Hale all coming into pit road. But Trevor, that's such a gutsy call on the 6's part.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting call there. I mean, giving up that track, starting inside the top 10, I mean, you'd think that you would take that track position, but Travis obviously had a different feeling, maybe based off of earlier practice sessions or something, that things might get a little crazy, so wanted to conserve his car the best he could there and decided to start from pit road, and luckily enough for him, got an early caution to get caught back up to everybody.
I mean, you would think with, most leagues that we cover here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, they don't use what's called a fast repair, an instant repair that fixes all of your damage that you have. And most leagues don't have that. But here tonight, this series does. And it's kind of a safety net for a lot of these drivers. Curious on why the 6 kind of didn't want to use that safety net and just decided to keep that track position. But re-looking at it, looks like there was some internet issues on why Travis Dart missed on the start of this race. So just throwing out a little bit of technical issues that always seem to affect some of these drivers at least once per race as one of these drivers.
Yeah, internet can play a huge role in how your race goes. And for Travis, looks like he dropped out, but was able to get back in. And Sam, I don't think he's a lap down. No, didn't go a lap down. So luckily enough for Travis, just missed the start there. Was able to get back out there after getting those internet issues resolved. And hopefully for the 6 machine can make up some lost ground.
As drivers are about to get ready for the 1 to go indicator, they've got to throw ourselves back up front and talk about the 11 Ross Tatum. Decided to start on the outside, didn't get the launch that he wanted, and then fell back to 3rd. I mean, now he's going to be on the inside lane. Maybe this is going to help out Ross Tatum, but it seems like for Altis, it's going to be this decider of how well do drivers feel comfortable on being on the inside as a leader, because it seemed like Altis, who started in 2nd place, got that better launch.
That's going to be interesting to see what Altis chooses to do here. Based off the first restart, you would think that he chooses the inside line, but we saw how good the outside line was on the start of the race, but it looks like Altis is going to go to the inside here on this restart, maybe feeling more comfortable there, and we'll see if this helps the 11 machine out compared to the opening restart.
All about that timing. Can you guess when the leader wants to take off, or will you misjudge it and get a black flag? Or could you run into one another? That's also happened in a couple of races before. First caution in before we are even to lap number 10. Now it's time to tell how these drivers are going to attack. Pace car pulls off. Let's give this restart thing another try. It's going to be Joshua Altis. Ken Campbell now going to be on the outer groove. How will the 15 attest as we are ready to get back to green flag racing, short track style here for the Full Send Racing Series, and the 94 is gone already.
Yeah, great launch there from him. The 15 of Ken Campbell, not such a good restart. Ross Tatum trying to get by him on the bottom, just can't keep the momentum up in that 11 machine, and that's going to allow Andrew Medlin back to his outside as that battle for 3rd heats up.
And Andrew Medlin, again, one of the drivers that needs a very good run here tonight to try to get a little bit of a buffer for the points, trying to make it into the playoffs. As see there, the 2-time champion, the 24, Cameron Sarton, trying to pick and choose where he wants to place himself, and it's just a waiting game of stay on the outside and try to get by the 11, as here comes that of Cameron Sarton to the nose. He's got a quarter panel and almost shoved up to the outside wall.
Yeah, a little bit of a block there from the 11, almost sends the 24 into the wall, but Sarton with the momentum on that high side should be able to clear the 11. Almost made contact on the front straightaway, but should be able to clear him here out of turn 2. And right behind them, here comes the 2 of Robert Sherwood.
Sherwood's looking good for himself, but Sherwood needs to find a little bit of speed, keep his nose close to the 24, and make sure there is not a car length in between the 2 and the 24. And a dive bomb just slightly trying to get to the quarter panel, and this is a gutsy call by Robert Sherwood, who's just got to pick and choose and hope the lane that he's following gets moving, but he's in a very good spot. This 2 is not side by side with someone else, so he's got a wiggle room of trying to get the best run possible and hoping whatever lane he chooses goes forward.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of a gap there to the 22 of Chris Stitz, who trying to keep up with the 12 of Andrew Medlin, as those two are locked in a points battle to get into the playoffs. But right now, for Sherwood is just picking and choosing what line he thinks is going to get the better run off the corner as Cameron Sarton and Ross Tatum continue to battle in front of him.
You can already kind of tell the different driving styles these drivers are going after. The what's known as a double apex going through these corners. The 24, very aggressive on the entry, but has to slam on the brakes, giving up a lot of time. Everyone else trying to pick and choose where they want to go. Here's Christopher Wade in the 53, trying to go by Tim McNally in the 88, and then go even deeper back into the field. Going to have that in the 52 of Christensen, who we haven't seen all season long, really. Showed up here or there. He's hoping to have a good run as we move up ahead. It's Zachary Peterson and Daniel Keith Jr. Keith Jr., this is his best start all season long.
And for Daniel Keith Jr., got into the wall a couple laps ago, pretty heavily in turn one. Got a nice little scrape on the side of that car, so just trying to rebound, get the momentum back up in that machine as he gave up a spot there to the 96 of Zachary Peterson.
And now we're going to be seeing that of Chris Essery. We saw him on his last lap for qualifying, rush into the outside wall, trying to be very aggressive on his qualifying. So didn't get the time that he wanted. Qualified all the way back in 13th position, moved up to 10th. And 32's got another driver in his sights. That's Timmy McNally. And McNally in the 88 hasn't had the best consistent runs this season, but he certainly is hoping to make a switch potentially here tonight.
Yeah, he showed speed. It's a couple other racetracks, just had some bad luck in that 88 machine as they get the 22 into the wall and a caution's out.
Caution's out, and it's the 4 of Aaron Hale on the backstretch.
Unfortunate there for Aaron Hale, looking to have a good run as he's trying to get as many points as he can to stay into the playoff picture for the 4 machine. We'll have to go back and take a look and see what happened to him as we get the replay pulled up right now.
Take a look at the replay. It's going to be the 4 all the way down low, trying to get by the 81 of Michael Boyd. It could be a self spin as see the 4 gets back into the throttle here, and a little bit of contact between the 81 and the 4.
Yeah, got into the throttle. The car just got tight on Aaron, got up into the 84 machine and spun it out, but doesn't look like he's got a lot of damage to that car, so he's going to bring it down pit road, probably put some fresh tires on it and get right back out there.
4 driver is going to be hitting pit road. The same 4 going to be hitting pit road again. Same 3, excuse me. That of Travis Dart, and then Ryan Lynch and Philip Chavez. But Trevor, I wanted to throw out the point. Philip Chavez did not use his fast repair under that first yellow, deciding to just manually repair this 101 each time there's a yellow flag. I mean, that's not a bad call, especially in the fact that we're running a short track. There's not a lot of damage that you can pick up here.
Yeah, running the short track, and the arrow's not that sensitive here as it is at other tracks, so probably not going to hurt Chavez as much. And keeping that fast repair in the back pocket just in case there's a big stack up or a big wreck in front of him, he gets involved in that, he'll still have that safety blanket later on in the race and not burning it 3 laps in. Ends
up front, still really the head scratching moment. It has to be Ross Tatum falling backwards, but Ken Campbell looking good, up 1 position from where he qualified in 3rd place. And I think for the 15, his goal has to be how to figure out the timing of these restarts for the 94. Altus now has gotten 2 great launches in 2 different positions. That first start of the race, took off in 2nd position, then took off again as the leader. And it makes sense as the leader because you've got that control of when to really take off once that pace car goes into pit road.
Yeah, Altus just needs to get another good restart here. Once he, if he can get another good restart, probably jump out to 5 or 6 car lengths like he has. But for Ken Campbell, it's all about timing when Altus is going to go. He went a little early on that last restart, so now you got to think that maybe he goes a little bit later. It's all mind games up front on these restarts, Sam.
When do you go? When do you stay? The questions will continue to loom over as no one's used a fast repair. We got 25 drivers on track, all still on the lead lap and being led by the driver that won last week, Joshua Altus. And Altus and his teammates hoping to continue with a good run here this evening, as a lot of drivers tonight, because it's a short track and a track that's not really utilized that often. I mean, Trevor, this is a track that NASCAR is trying to go back to a lot more often. It was previously used a lot in the past, but Lucas Oil Raceway still so difficult on how they want to run this race out as we're stacked up and getting the 1 to go marker.
Yeah, it's just such a unique short track with no banking, very, kind of one line dominated as we've seen early on, but such a fun track to drive as a driver, very challenging. And, these guys showing just how tough it is this early on in the race.
So far, we got some big movers up 3 positions, but the biggest up 8 is John Dart, back in 15th position. We'll see if he can continue to march his way forward into the top 10 potentially, but up front, not a lot of shifting up and down except for that of the 11, who's down 4 positions. We're ready to get rolling. We're right on board with Andrew Medlin on this restart, and we are green. And the 12's already side by side with Ken Campbell into 1.
Again, Alex with another great restart is the 12 here of Andrew Medlin. Looks to the inside of Ken Campbell. Campbell's going to have that preferred line, and the better run off the top of the racetrack is side by side, continues into 3 for the battle for second.
He's trying to make the move right now on the outside, but that of Andrew Medlin not giving up. Medlin's trying to get back into the throttle, but because there's a car on his outside, has to lift off. The 15 doesn't, and securing that second place position now. And Medlin in kind of a similar spot that we saw Ross Statham earlier. He's got to move up in line, and he does find the space. Won't drop back to 4th.
Yeah, found the space there in front of the 24 of Cameron Sarton, who's side by side with the 11 of Ross Statham, our pole sitter. But Sarton almost got into the outside wall, just showing how close and how high these drivers are driving into these corners.
Driving difficult are a lot of these drivers. Ross Statham, difficult is the moment for the 11. He's hoping not to lose any more ground, and luckily we'll find space with that of Stitz getting out of the way. And now everyone starts to single file out for our front 10. And now the question is, how do you make the pass? Everyone's in train, in line, and the aggression's now going to start to kick up of who can start to make the moves or who wants to even try a dive bomb move, as we're all in line.
Everybody kind of just riding out right now, single file. Drivers looking to get that run off the corner, high, low, wherever they can. Don't want to use the chrome horn quite yet because it might come back to bite you this early on in the race. But Sam, I think as this race continues, if this single file continues, we're going to start seeing that front bumper get used a lot more.
Oh, a little bit of a glimpse of a driver trying to duck down into the middle lane. That was Zachary Peterson for a quick little dash. As you see Nick Holland here back in 14th, middle of the field, usually where we can, say, hey, these drivers are going to be aggressive. They're ones to watch out for. And not a lot of movement anywhere. I think everyone realized we want to stay in line. This is really a one-groove racetrack. And as I say that, though, it's going to be seen that John Dart, who is trying to hold off Bo Tiffany in the 29.
Yeah, John Dart trying to make his way forward here. Huge dive to the inside of the 29 of Bo Tiffany, the 13 machine, really working that bottom to middle groove for himself. But just wondering if that's going to eat up these tires as he's driving it in there really hard. But he clears the 29 of Bo Tiffany here, slides up in front of him on the corner exit.
And driver having an issue. It's Cameron Sarton ducked down into the inside pit wall, and it was aggressive racing up front for second. Medlin make the pass on Ken Campbell. Campbell was trying to get back in line, and a little bit of a tail slapper to the 24. And for the two-time champion, he is looking to now have to start in the back of the line as we take an instant replay of what just happened.
Let's see, here's the 24 battling there with the 15 of Ken Campbell. He's got the 11 of Ross Tatum right behind him. Looks to the inside here of the 15 machine, trying to run that middle to bottom groove and get the run off the corner. And just looks like the two just kind of met in the middle there. And for the 24, it's kind of a lazy spin to the inside wall, and kind of similar to Philip Chavez in the 101 car. I don't think he's got a lot of damage. Sam might just come in and get that little bit of damage repaired and get back out there.
Yeah, I mean, just get a little bit of nose damage repair. And Philip Chavez, he's back in 23rd, really hasn't been able to move anywhere at this moment. But I think the 24 might be in a different boat, as John Dart, surprisingly, the 13 is hitting pit road after trying to battle and get it into that of the positioning in the top 10.
Looks like he's going to take tires here for the 13. 30 laps to go before the stage. I mean, might be making a move here, tire strategy move for the stage break.
Yeah, it's not a bad call for himself. Going to be, trying to get any type of advantage. If you feel like there's a couple of drivers that will feel like overusing those tires, or they feel like that outside groove is being just used up so much, we need a little bit of extra grip to make this inside line work. Stick tires, let's try a risky call that could give you a little bit more information for later on in this race.
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to work out for these two that have taken tires, because I don't think they have run enough laps under green to really get a lot of tire wear, on the set of tires that they started the race on.
It's only been about that 15 to 16 laps of green flag racing that we've had with the three yellows so far this evening, and with that low amount of tire wear, we have seen some drivers, though, especially up front, be very aggressive for that Medlin Campbell. They're fighting for every position possible. And obviously, we're starting to see a little bit of wiggle room of drivers. Got to be trying to be careful, but it just seems way too early in this race. I didn't think we were going to see anyone try to take tires during this stage, but hey, I mean, surprise me. Let's see what you got out there with John Dart, Ryan Lynch, and also that Cameron Sarton all taking tires.
Yeah, we're going to have to keep an eye on those three to see how well they can work their way back up through the field and how they do it. Do they use the bottom? Do they use the middle? Do they go to the top? I mean, it's going to come down to how well those three can get through traffic and get back up here and try to get some stage points before the end of the stage.
As Travis Dart going to be officially out of this race, loss of connection once again. Sounds like that of the 6 machine is going to call it a night after a great qualifying position. Qualified that of 9th, but won't be able to finish out this race. As drivers up front, biggest mover so far now after John Dart kind of giving up his position. Those in the top 10 going to be up 6 positions is that of Chris Essery, and the 32, like we said, had a poor qualifying run. He had a great time coming for that second lap, got into the outside wall, so it invalidated it. And now the 32 machine is up to 7th. Still a driver that we've seen throughout this season so far. Be very quick and always a top 5 threat.
Yeah, had a great battle with Cameron Sarton at the Roval a couple weeks back. Almost got the win there. Was quick in practice here tonight. Just had that incident with the outside wall on his second lap in qualifying, but working his way up through traffic here early on in this race and see what he can do here on the restart.
Drivers see the pace car pull off. It's time for us to go back to green flag racing. Again, stage break is at lap 60 for these drivers. As pace cars off, drivers into the restart zone, and we are green once again for the MCI Graphics 185.
Andrew Medlin there with a really good restart on that outside line. Might have a little look here to the outside of the 94, not quite having the momentum off the corner. It's battle for third as Ross Tatum gets into the wall as he battles the 15 of Ken Campbell.
And Campbell not giving up, and Campbell recognizing he needs to get higher into that lane. He cannot stay on the low end. It might give him up a spot, but here comes Sherwood, who's going to be putting the pressure on the 11. Everyone stacking up, and some further on back, being very aggressive on trying to make these big moves into turn number 1. And right now, front 2 pulling away as side-by-side for third continues to race on.
And Tatum Campbell still continue this battle. The 11 on the inside almost cleared the 15, but the 15 with the drive off the corner, and just shows you how deep the 15 can drive it in. Gets a really good entry, but has to back up the middle of the corner, but gets the better drive off. As here comes the 22 to the inside of the 2 of Sherwood. Not quite able to make that move stick, but same, they were almost 3 wide there for a second.
They are, and it's going to be right. He's still on board with the 22 of Chris Stitz. Stitz now going to have that 32 to his outside of Essery. And a lot more racing aggressiveness on this restart. And I think a lot of drivers recognizing, okay, these restarts are our only true time to make passes. The 32 into the outside wall, though.
Yeah. Essery there just drove it in really hard into turn 1, got a little loose, got it into the outside wall, but able to get it out of the wall fairly quickly. Only gave up that 1 spot to the 22 of Stitz. But now he's got to recover and regroup and get back up there.
Trying to find a little bit more speed. It's going to be the 53 of Christopher Wade closing in on the 32 machine of Essery, who just slid his way through that corner. Now the 53 closing in ever so slightly. Update on John Dart. He started all the way back in qualifying, deep in the field. Then it worked his way forward, and then decided to take 4 sets of tires. Started back in 21st position. The 13 is already up to 14th place here, Trevor.
Yeah, he is flying right now. Just looking at him, running the bottom, now running the middle. But I mean, with those fresh tires, Sam, he's able to put this car wherever he wants, it looks like, and get really good drive off here as he passes another car and passes there the 23, Daniel Keith Jr.
We're closing in on 20 laps still to go in this stage, and if you're going to have that type of speed, you might as well use it all up now, up to 13th. As the drivers continue on, but they're wrecking further behind. It's Martin Perry, Philip Chavez. Yellow flag's not out, but our leaders are slowly starting to come up to the 101. Who's trying to get into the grass will be on the grass, as we will see Philip Chavez having to just stay down below. Will the yellow be thrown? We'll wait as they continue to race out and stay green.
And there was another wreck not too far in front of that one. 3 and the 81 got together. Michael Boyd and then the three of Ryan Lynch got together, but those two keep it straight, but some big damage to the back of the 81 as Chavez finally gets it rolling here.
Somehow we stay green, and now big scare for a lot of these drivers. Continuing to race on. Here's going to be Doug Pierce, who's moved up quite well. Driver was involved with our first wreck of the day. Aaron Hale going to be up to 19th position. And as these drivers continue to race things out deeper in the field, drivers up front starting to get a little bit more aggressive, and some starting to lose some ground. And that's going to be the 22, Chris Stitz, in 7th place. He's starting to lose a little bit of touch to the drivers around him.
Yeah, I think he got to the bottom, battling there on the bottom, and just kind of been stuck down there, and everybody's driving around him. But you see he's all the way down on the apron, turns 3 and 4 there, but just can't get the run off the corner as Chris Essery's gotten around him, and now battling side by side with the 53 machine.
Driver, I want to see his onboard coming through this pack. That's going to be a 13 of John Dart. He's just caught up to the tail end of this group that we're watching, and I'm curious on how, with fresh tires, John Dart is going to be making this move. As here we go. He's got a lot of drivers picking and choosing what lane to be in, but Trevor, this is when patience is truly the key.
Yeah, he's got to be patient here. He knows he has the fresher tires. He knows he's quicker here. He gets a big run there to the outside of the 68 of Nick Holland. Not quite there to his outside. He puts his nose there again, but for Dart, you just got to be a little bit patient. Almost got in the back of the 68 there with the closing rate.
And trying to figure out, do I go high or do I stay low? If he goes to the high line, he's going to get the massive run, but he'll be boxed in with other drivers ahead of him, so it's so difficult to choose where to go. Now he's going to have the wall of Holland, and maybe let's go 3 wide. Dart is going, and here comes Cameron Sarton now in the 24. He's now in this group.
Yeah, Sarton closed right up on these guys as they've been battling. Sarton also on fresh tires, but smart move there by Dart. Thought about going 3 wide, just had to run off the corner. Thought better of it. Got a little loose there off the corner exit coming down the front stretch, but keeps that 13 machine straight. Lost a little bit of time though, and Sarton's right there behind him.
You look at your John Dart, yes, you've been the Pied Piper of these fresh tires, but maybe you want to just give up the position to the 24 and follow in his tracks, as it seems like Cameron Sarton really wants to take off. He's got a great release out of the corner, and that's because he's backing off so much slower to make sure he can get the better launch out. But because there's a wall now of Dart and Zachary Peterson, there's nowhere to go for the 24 except for maybe the middle, as here he goes.
Yeah, it now gets by the 96 there's Zachary Peterson, and this is going to free up Dart and Sarton. And, we'll see here if maybe Dart burned up a little bit of those tires more than Cameron Sarton has. Sarton now looks to his inside, gets a really good drive off of turn 4, and he's going to clear the 13 machine down here in 1 and 2.
Might have been involved with the last yellow, might have gotten a lot more damage than he wanted to, but got fresh tires and now is matching with the 13 and faster. Cameron Sarton now up to 10th place, and the march is on. Can he crack the top 5 before the stage is done? That's at lap 60, and we have ourselves that of 12 laps to go before the stage is done.
Yeah, it's Sarton just trying to make his move quickly through this field, get those stage points back. We got Travis Dart following him, and up front, Andrew Medlin's closed in on Joshua Altus.
Altus is going to be a driver that has been doing a great job leading this race, but the battle for the lead is closed in. Our top 3 all within a half a second of one another, and it's Andrew Medlin looking for his first win this season, comes in tied for that bubble spot, and what a win could change here for the 12. Gets the win, automatically locked into the playoffs.
Yeah, right now tied with the 22 of Chris Stitz, and Medlin looking to have a great run here. It's had some bad luck. Had some speed in that 12 machine, just had some bad luck early on in this season, but looking quick here as he applies the pressure to the back of the 94. Last week's winner, Altus there. Medlin's there, almost to the rear bumper of the 94 machine.
Given a little bit of a bump potentially there is Andrew Medlin in the 12. This 12 machine we've seen here on Freaky Fast and other leagues running the same exact Xfinity car. Looks so strong, but never got a win in that series. But here tonight, the strength of the 12, maybe he didn't get the qualifying, but the patience, the determination, it is there, and he's right on the back bumper, but this is why it's so difficult for the front runners here at IRP. It almost feels like you've got to wreck the driver in front of you if you want to make the pass.
Yeah, just so many different kind of entries and exits that these drivers use. He almost gets into the back of the 94 again. And he's there. He's got the more speed, just cannot make that pass yet. This has allowed Ross Tatum to close back in, our pole sitter. He's also entering this fight now.
Ross Tatum having a little bit of blinking issues, hopes to keep that stabilized as our front 3 close in. Here is the Andrew Medlin driver cam. as it's going to be seeing the 12 picking and choosing. Does he go high? He's going to be trying to get to the outside quarter panel and needs to make this pass quick because they're closing in on lap traffic.
Closing in on lap traffic, closing in on the end of the stage. 6 laps to go here, and just look at the focus there of Andrew Medlin as he navigates this track, trying to figure out how to get around the 94 of Altis and then defend from the 11 of Ross Tatum, as Tatum had a half a look at him back in turn 2.
And also you can kind of tell watching, he's focused, he's fighting with this wheel, and then the slight relief once he finally hits the straightaway of, oh, I made it through that corner, I didn't lose the rear end, and it feels like every single lap, every straightaway, it's a relieving moment of I survived that corner.
Survived the corner, but it's not a long relief. These straightaways are short. Next thing you know, you're back into the corner again, fighting the car, fighting for grip, fighting for traction on corner exit as you try to get the power back down, and again, right to the rear bumper of the 94, just can't find a way to get by him, but here they come up to lap traffic stand, like you said, the 81 of Michael Boyd right in front of these leaders.
It's going to be Michael Boyd, 5 laps to go, coming to 4 when they cross the line, but this lap car is going to be in the way, but where does the 81 go? He's going to sit right in the middle of the track, and now our leaders going to have to go high, low, and what type of run will the 12 get? Right on the back bumper, they go low, they have to get around the 81, which now puts Ross Tatum in a tricky spot, and our leaders, they're going way below where they've been feeling comfortable.
Yeah, way below, and this is going to allow the 12 to get almost to the inside of Altis. Oh, Altis gets into the wall, Tatum! Contact!
And the Ghost Machine back up into the lap traffic, and more damage can be given to that of Andrew Medlin. And just like that, Altis, the pressure relieved, the 12 comfortable, and the 11 is now all the way back to 15th after going to the inside wall.
Big contact between the 12 and the 11 as Altis got into the wall, got down into Medlin, and Medlin got into Tatum. Those two bounced off each other. Medlin gets away, fairly scot-free with this, stays in second, but for Ross Tatum, losing a ton of track position and big damage for the 11 machine.
And he's just going to continue to fall for the 11. He's going to need this yellow to come out as quick as possible, as we got 2 more laps to go before this stage is done. And now the 22 into the outside wall. The 2 almost following suit with a little monkey see, monkey do. And now Cameron Sarton cracks into the top 5.
And Sarton, back there with those fresh tires, still trying to make it work here, but he's got to get around the 22 of Stitz and Ken Campbell. And Stitz, we just saw in the wall, but still able to get a good drive off the corner and clear the 15 machine as we've got 1 more lap to go here before the end of the stage.
And it's going to be that of Joshua Altis hitting the back stretch, feeling comfortable, confident is the 94.
Oh.
He had a battle to worry about. What happened to the back?
The contact between the 81, the lap car, and the 22 of Chris Stitz almost wrecked our for 3rd through 5th right there. Is the 81 still just kind of in the way? It's going to back everybody up here as they come to the line.
And that is 61 laps in. We wait for our top 10 to cross the line. And now we wait to see, will the yellow be thrown? And I don't know if it will, and it will be thrown now, as the admins were finally notified that it was lap 61. And just like that, the chaos calms down, and it was needed after 2 massive issues there. Trevor, lap traffic is not a fun thing for these drivers to deal with.
I think we are going to have some upset drivers with the lap traffic here tonight, because it has caused a little bit of chaos early on in this race.
Yeah, I think the main thing for these drivers to watch out for is how do you react. As into pit road is going to be our drivers up front. Getting the bonus points is going to be Joshua Altis, Andrew Medlin, Ken Campbell, that of Cameron Sarton, Robert Sherwood, Chris Stitz, Chris Essery, John Dart, Nick Holland, as well as Timmy McNally as they head into pit road into their stops. We're going to go side by side for a quick second. You won't miss a single thing. We might not be back for the restart, but it's okay. You'll see the start. You'll see the chaos. And for also, we'll see how these drivers can handle the rest of this race, as we'll be back on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the end of race number 7 at IRP for the Full Send Racing Series. They're splitting, and it's a complete mayhem.
We have a wreck at the front. 19 goes down into the 7, takes out the 00.
They're 5 wide behind for 5th. Oh my, the 5 wide here. This ain't gonna work, is it? They're already wrecking into turn 1, and now coming through that at turn 2. This is it, the Daytona. Oh no, they're striking contact. Sainz gets into the wall. Gonna be scattering on the outside. Drivers on the apron. Drivers coming out of nowhere. Edison on the outside trying to get the win. And it's William Edison stealing it at the line.
Into the wall. The 18 trying to buck. 77 to get into the 18. That leaves 3 to TJ Roberts. 17 to Gavin Rogers. 3 of TJ Roberts is going to steal the win here.
He went second fiddle so many times last season. Christopher Wade wins the season 5 Daytona 200. Drivers, start your engines!
4, 3, 2, 1, green screen. I have no rear grip whatsoever. I'm sideways. Sideways everywhere. Come on, man. Do what you can. The vibration in this car is the worst vibration that I've ever had, and the shifter's broken again.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Full Send Racing Series. We're back to Green Flag Racing, and drama's already fulfilling as our front three pulling away, but drama given to the 24 as Daniel Keith Jr. staying out, did not go to pit road on old tires and causing a fiasco out there. Yellow flag strikes further back, though.
Whew. What a restart this has been. And for Cameron Sarton, before we get to this replay, not what you wanted. Use your quick repair on that pit stop there at the stage, and now more front end damage for the 24.
And it's going to be the 69, excuse me, of Martin Perry. Going to be finding himself self-spinning, fresh tires, cold tires, and away he goes out of turn number 4.
Yeah, same thing that happened to Chavez earlier on lap 3. The same thing happens here to Perry. Just too much throttle on the bottom on cold tires, spins it out, and for that 69 machine, heavy contact to the inside wall.
And he's going to call it a night early. Took a tow immediately, then out of there. But back to the restart. After our stage, a lot of front runners, I was not expecting to use their fast repairs, use them up. And like you said, Cameron Sarton, one of those drivers, as well as our leader of Joshua Alta, is going to be using his repair. And I mean, this is bizarre on these drivers on who's using their set and who's not going to be using their fast repair set here tonight.
Yeah, for Altus, makes you kind of wonder if he forgot to, uncheck that before they came down pit road. Didn't look like he had a lot of damage after some contact with the 12 of Andrew Medlin and Ross Tatum, and then the 81 of Michael Boyd when they were trying to get around Boyd. But, for Cameron Sarton, had some nose damage from an earlier spin, and now more nose damage for him as he got into the back there of Daniel Keith Jr. on that restart.
Daniel Keith Jr. on the older tires, and I don't think anyone was expecting to see a driver stay out after our stage break and just decide not to go into pit road. Now, Daniel Keith Jr. does come to pit road, but kind of just a barrier standing still in the middle of the corner, and the 24 had nowhere to go, runs into him. And Daniel Keith Jr. over the radio kind of blaming that on the 24, but it's such a difficult spot to be in.
Yeah, it's so hard to judge, how much more speed you're going to have on corner entry when somebody stays out on those old tires like that. And maybe just didn't expect Daniel Keith to break when he did. And for Sarton, I mean, just really nowhere for the 24 machine to go as he ran into the back there of the 23.
And we're going to go down the list of drivers that have already used their fast repair, because there's about 6 to 7 of them. It's going to be our leader, Joshua Altus, as well as Andrew Medlin going to use a fast repair. Cameron Sarton used it, but now has front end damage he's got to deal with for himself. Ross Tatum, who's fallen back to 13th, was involved with the incident while we were under green before the stage break came out. He's going to be using his fast repair, and then you dive even deeper into the field. You got that of Michael Boyd, who is back in 23rd position, 2 laps down, who has used their fast repair. The rest of the field still have it. And if you've got a fast repair, I mean, it kind of gives you a free opening of trying to be a little bit more aggressive here as we're closing into halfway for this race.
It gives you, some confidence there that you still got one if something happens. But, it's, with how aggressive these drivers have been, I'd feel a whole lot better if I had mine. But for these leaders, now you got to be smart with how aggressive you're going to be, knowing that you don't have those fast repairs. So for Altus and Medlin, and even for Sarton, I mean, Sarton definitely doesn't want to get any more damage on the nose of that 24 machine. But these guys have to race hard, and they have to race smart about it.
Drivers stacked up, ready to go. Our top 5 going to be Andrew Medlin, going to be trying to figure out how to get by that of Joshua Altus, who's going to be our leader on this start, with Ken Campbell, Cameron Sarton, and Chris Essery. Essery of 8 positions, but it's not our biggest mover. That's going to be 9th place runner Bo Tiffany, up 10 spots. John Dart as well, up that of 13 positions, with a 13 machine who will start back in 10th place. Pace car pulls off on the off-axis road, and we're getting ready to see who will survive the rest of this race. It's the MCI Graphics 185 presented by AMR Paintworks, and we are green once again here tonight at IRP.
And again, Medlin does a really good job timing that restart with the 94 of Altus there. Now on his outside, this is the first time Altus has really been challenged here. Squeezes the 12 almost into the wall, but able to clear it now as they head into 3.
We're going to be running in that middle lane once again, and here comes the 12. Andrew Medlin trying to stay a little bit higher, but now dive bombs it, trying to get the rear end, but they wreck behind. It's Daniel Keith Jr. spun around.
Keith Jr. on those fresh tires there. I wonder if maybe this is kind of the same thing, just on the inside line, got into the throttle a little too hard. We'll have to go back and take a look and see what happened to the 23 machine.
I think that's also another thing. Fresh tires had about that of 11 lap fresher tires. We've seen here tonight during our stage 1, split of seeing John Dart and Cameron, that of Cameron Sarton driving through. You've got a lot of speed, but hard contact to this 101 throws him into the outside wall, and then gets into the brakes and gets ran over by that of the 3 of Ryan Lynch.
Yeah, I just probably didn't expect the 101 to check up as hard as he did, and got into him, and then he had to check up himself, and then for Lynch, just nowhere for Lynch to go in the 3. Gets into the back there of Daniel Keith in the 23 and spins him around.
Luckily for all those drivers that were involved with that wreck, all have fast repairs if they feel like it's necessary to use here tonight. 23 gets it revved up. That is going to be another caution here tonight. And Trevor talked to the drivers. They threw out the number. They were expecting that of 7 to 9 cautions this race. Well, we're already at 6, technically 5 on-track incidences, but I'm kind of not surprised by the pace that we're going with these yellows.
No, cautions breed cautions, and especially when everybody gets stacked up on top of each other and everybody's being aggressive, trying to get as many positions as they can, get that track position, it's going to happen. You're going to run over somebody. You're going to get into the throttle too hard and spin out. And Sam, they said 7 to 9. We're on pace for that, if not more.
Yeah, I think if the rate that we're going, we're not even at halfway. I think around that of 12 to 15 might be the number we're looking for potentially here tonight. But hey, if you're watching down in the chat, what's your predictions? How many yellows are you expecting for us to have? Or could we stay green? We got to see a pretty good green flag run there at the end of stage 1. Could we see any more as we are done with stage breaks? It's all about racing it to the end as these drivers were given 3 sets of tires to work with. Majority of the field has already used 1. Some have already used 2, such as John Dart in the 13. That it puts, using that extra set. I think that was something we didn't really touch on that much during stage 1. But using that extra set during stage 1, it was a great gamble to try to get some extra bonus points at the stage. But man, does that put you in a hole for the rest of this race.
Yeah, only having that one set, when more than half this race to go. And along with Dart, Cameron Sarton in the 24, he also used a set before that stage to get that track position back after his incident. So he's only got 1 set left. So those two really going to have to be smart here on how they utilize that last set of tires.
As we are on that lap 80, still closing into halfway. That's going to be on lap 93. But for everyone else up front, they're ready for this restart. Joshua Altus, Andrew Medlin, Ken Campbell, Cameron Sarton, Chris Essery, as well as Chris Stitz, Robert Sherwood, Nick Holland, Bo Tiffany, and John Dart going to be your top 10. 2 drivers are out of this race. As Travis Dart with internet issues in Martin Perry after his disastrous wreck that he had. As the drivers stacked up, ready to go, pace cars off the off-axis road. It's time to go back to green flag racing, short track style, at this 6/10 of a mile course. We're green as the 94 takes off, and Medlin wasn't able to time it that go around.
Yeah, this time Altus, much better job timing his restart there. Didn't allow the 12 to get a good jump on him. Able to well clear the 12 machine and not have any pressure on his outside as they head off into turn 3.
Everyone trying to get in line as quick as possible. Top 4, top 5, top 7, really, all in line. It's going to be the battle going on for 7th, actually. He's keeping it side by side, but this is deeper in the field where we're seeing drivers, that of Zachary Peterson. Others, there's Bo Tiffany trying to make their move on that of the 13 of John Dart.
Yeah, Dart on the top, not really where he's been comfortable. We've seen Dart kind of running the bottom line in that 13 machine here. He battles with Bo Tiffany. Ross Tatum in the 11 trying to recover after his incident, running 3rd right before the stage before he got caught up in a crash. He tries to recover in the 11 machine.
This is your time to make any type of passes, because once it gets single filed, it's kind of wait until someone makes a mistake. And this field all starting to single file out in. That was a much cleaner restart for a lot of these drivers. No one really got shoved up in the outside wall, losing a lot of ground. But there are some drivers trying to gain a little bit extra. You see the 13, a much higher lane through the corner compared to those that are around him. Ross Tatum feeling very comfortable in the middle groove, if not tries to go even lower than that. And for John Dart, it just seems like he's not carrying enough speed as the 88 gets in the outside wall.
Yeah, 88 there of Timmy McNally, just a little too high there on corner exit, gets into the wall, kind of backs everybody up behind him as they try to sort out and try to figure out how to get around the 88 machine. You get the 52 there of Lyle Christensen and Christopher Wade in the 53, who was running inside the top 5 before the stage break. So I wonder what happened to Wade there and put him all the way back in 15.
Wade, who decided to come to pit road under that last yellow, topped off on fuel, and everyone else didn't. He's actually been trying to make the march forward to the 53. And Lyle Christensen, the 52, I haven't seen him since the start of the season at Daytona. He took the rest of the season off. It's good to see Lyle back racing for this field, a driver that looked competitive at Daytona, but this is a completely different dynamic of going short track racing compared to PAX draft racing that we got to see at the start of the season.
Heck, you think about it, kind of similar. You're in a pack, you're just kind of single filed out, you're not carrying the speed. You're using a lot more brake here at Lucas Oil than you are at Daytona.
That is very true. Sometimes you do have to drag the brake to help yourself, but obviously here tonight you're jabbing on it, trying to make sure you can carry as much speed, but also hope that you don't slide your way through as we're riding on board with that Robert Sherwood, trying to figure out how to get by the 22 of Chris Stitz, who's got to say for the 22 of Stitz, also in front of him the 32, 2 drivers that have been a little bit overzealous at times here tonight. But luckily these cars, built like tanks here tonight, have not seen anybody get a required flag yet.
Yeah, thankfully with these Xfinity cars, really tough. You can actually get into the wall fairly hard in these things and not hurt them too terribly bad. And we've seen that with S3 and Stitz both, just drive it in a little too hard, slide up into the outside wall, but able to keep it going as they try to find a way around the 15 of Ken Campbell. And for Stitz, he's got to close the gap to Andrew Medlin and keep that points gap as close to Medlin as he can as those two battle for the last playoff spot.
And honestly, does not help the fact that Medlin had a great finish at the stage break, so it's going to be a few bonus points given to the 12 as we continue to race on. The battle for the lead, though. Some dive bomb moves being made by the 12, keeping it side by side as we hop on board with the 24 of Cameron Sarton, who's got to pick and choose who he wants to help heading into turn 3.
Sarton just looking on here, trying to figure out who's going to go where as Medlin continues to apply the pressure to Altus, just like we saw at the end of the stage. The 12 machine all over the back of the 94, but just so hard to pass here. Still hasn't been able to find a way around that 94 machine.
Yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on Tuesday night, getting to watch the Full Send Racing Series here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Trevor Earhart and Robert Moyer, and everyone else that helps out here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thanks for joining us as we are halfway here at Lucas Oil for that race number 7 of the Full Send Racing Series. Xfinity cars, this field, this league puts on a fabulous show each and every week. We're so proud to be able to cover them each and every time, as right now, everyone in the middle of the field playing nice, waiting to see who's going to burn up those tires first.
Yeah, kind of just riding out, feeling the car out. You know, probably the second, I think this will be the second longest run that we've had here tonight, is these guys just try to get a feel for it. You know, what are these cars going to do on these older tires as they heat up, they slick off, and up front, the battle continues here. These three, Altus, Medlin, and Sarton, just continue to battle hard up here.
Also just seen in the back picture of drivers battling for that of the 8th and 7th place position. Ross Tatum, Holland almost getting to that outside wall and had to give up so much speed. The 11 closes in for this 8th place position.
And Ross showing that he's still got the speed, fell back there off the initial start when he didn't get a great launch. Made all that time back up, was battling up there in the top 3, battling for maybe a stage win before he got caught up in that incident. Now trying to make it up here as he battles for 8th position here with the 68 of Nick Holland.
And then you see the 4th place on back picture, seeing that of Ken Campbell, Chris Essery, Stitz, Sherwood, all running around one another. But the battle that they keep on trying to figure out how to close in is for our top 3. Joshua Altus, Andrew Medlin, Cameron Sarton continue to get closer and closer, and Medlin, I don't think he can get any closer to the 94 without bumping him out of the way.
And Medlin has just been right there, tucked underneath that rear wing of the 94 machine, and just, I think he's done everything but give him the chrome horn. I mean, he's just been all over the back of that 94 car and just can't get the move done yet in that 12 car.
This is kind of the hard thing of short track racing, and similar to Darlington, preferred lane is pretty high on this track. If you're gonna give a bump and run, I mean, if you bump the driver wrong, they still, most of these drivers would have had a fast repair still to work with. Our top 3 all have already used their fast repair, and so we're just halfway. I think in their mindset, they might be thinking it's just too early to make that aggressive of a move. Let's just continue to keep this track position and try to just force a mistake before we really got to get our elbows out.
Yeah, a little too early, I think. I think that's probably what's going through Medlin's mind here is can't bump him yet. It's too early in this race, and see if we can make him pressure him into a mistake, maybe burn up his tires a little more than he would like as he applies the pressure here again. But Altus now starting to pull a little bit of a gap, and these two are starting to pull away from the 24 of Cameron Sarton.
As these 4 are trying to figure out how to close in, it's being very difficult, but some of these drivers, they might need to react immediately just in case a yellow comes out, and that means you want to get a device called the iRacing iFlag virtual flag system. As here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we're sponsored with iRacing iFlag, and what a clear indication of what the flag state is. Sometimes these drivers need to know, do we need to back it down because there's an issue in front of us, or they get a blinking light in front of them that will give you clear indications. They'll use the iRacing iFlag systems and go to their website, iRacingIFlag.com. Use our promo code FreakyFast2022 to go get yourself a discount here tonight. As we're past lap 101, it's time to see who's going to make the last dash to the end. And as well, if we get a caution at this point, this could change everything for these drivers on how the fuel state's going to look like.
Yeah, it could throw a huge wrench into the plan, especially for the guys who only have one set of tires left. Could really just mess up their whole strategy, and our leaders are starting to catch lap traffic.
And lap traffic, we saw it be an issue before. We'll see how nice they want to play, but the difference between the drivers all the way in the back to those that are on track, it's going to be that of around 5 seconds between Michael Boyd and Altus that are around one another. So it was that lap traffic that really got drivers frisky and brought out the yellow, that almost brought out the yellow, excuse me, before our stage break. So we'll see if lap traffic changes things up once again, as here's the battle for 10th place, John Dart in the 13 and the 29 of Bo Tiffany.
And for Dart, just hasn't really fired off that well on this run. I mean, restarted 10th and just really hasn't gone anywhere in that 13 machine. As him and Bo Tiffany battle it out in front of them. I mean, Ross Tatum's been able to get around both of these drivers and has made his way up almost to the top 5.
Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense for John Dart not to be as aggressive this go around, especially on the knowing of he only has one more set of tires to work with. So doesn't want to just burn them off immediately. Let's play a little bit more on the passive side of things and just let the race come to you at this point. Because if a yellow comes out at this timing, you're most likely gonna have to stay out and wait for a caution to come out later on to even have a chance to have a great run and an advantage with your tires.
And that might be exactly what the 13 machine is doing, just taking it easy here on this run. You know, waiting to see if that caution comes out. But, you know, we just have to wait and see if that plays out and if his strategy plays out as well for him as he thinks it's going to.
And also with the last yellow flag that came out, that was about 30 laps ago. And based on the numbers we were given, it was, oh boy, this talked about the what ifs, and it happens. Lyle Christensen gonna be the driver spun around, and oh, more drivers go around in front of him. It's gonna be Sam Siegel as well as Ryan Lynch making contact.
Calamity over there in the corner as everybody tries to slow up for that caution, and more contacts made.
Lyle Christensen gonna be the driver involved with the first catalyst to bring out the yellow. Now it's gonna bring out the fact that, you know, fuel run wise, these drivers were notified of around 112 laps was looking to be the distance, and then we got a couple of yellow flags. Might stretch that out a couple of laps as see Lyle here and Aaron Hale make contact and goes around the 52, and then it's the pack behind them have to figure out how to react, and they then have their own fiasco of different mentalities to get around a driver.
Yeah, everybody trying to check up for the wreck, get around each other or get around it and kind of just run over each other and pile into it. As you see Chavez there coming into it, getting checked up, and see the 3 spinning on the bottom, and I can't quite tell who that is spinning on the top there, but just trying to get checked up for the wreck and split it and a little bit too hard on the brakes and spin yourself around.
That's going to be Sam Siegel, who checks up on the high and then comes down, clips the 3. And it wasn't too bad of a hit, but it certainly got the 3 spun around.
And for Lynch, I mean, did a really good job going down in the grass, clearing that wreck, and probably quite surprised when he got clipped and spun back up the racetrack, probably wondering what happened to him as Siegel came down the track. But it doesn't look like a lot of damage there for the 3 machine as he gets it spun around and gets going.
As the timing of this yellow going to be causing these drivers to be closer to 75 laps to go until this race is done, and a little bit of change up for drivers up ahead. I thought it was going to be John Dart, maybe Cameron Sargent deciding to stay out and save their tires. Well, throw that out the window. John Dart takes a set of tires. Cameron Sargent takes a set of tires. A few others, and it's Robert Sherwood, who has only come into pit road during his stage break. He still has 2 extra sets of tires to work with, and he decides not to come in. It's going to be 45 lap older tires for this 2 machine. And we've seen old tires really cause you to be a sitting duck. This is a gutsy call by the 2.
Yeah, we saw it, you know, right after the stage break with Daniel Keith Jr. on the restart, how much slower he was than everybody else and kind of what that caused. So for Sherwood here, kind of questionable call by the 2 machine, but you know, maybe he did a really good job of saving those tires in that run. We're gonna have to wait and see, but I expect it to cause a little bit of chaos here on this restart.
As drivers get ready to stack up, it's going to be seen that of Joshua Altus. Where will he be placed? Because he's ran the inside lane on every single restart. Will Robert Sherwood put him in a different spot? And what makes this even more interesting here is these are going to be teammates from that of SMB Motorsports. We saw the teammate action come in and work together last week at Auto Club. Could it be another factor to help Altus or even Sherwood get into victory lane?
Very well could. And for, Altus having Sherwood on the bottom puts him right in front of the 12 of Andrew Medlin, the guy that's been, hounding him here for the last 40 laps. So maybe a little bit of a strategy play here from those teammates to slow up the 12. But then you got right behind them Cameron Sarton, who's had so much speed here tonight. So we're just going to have to wait and see how it plays out as they get ready to do this restart.
The one thing for Cameron Sarton, again, we got to remember, he had already used his fast repair. He got some nose damage by running into the 23 on the last restart. Will the damage affect him or will it not? As the green flag is back out in the air, the 2 did not just stall out, he actually took off. Now let's get put that Joshua Altis side by side with Andrew Medlin and almost 3 wide as they're coming out of turn number 2.
Oh, that holds up the 94 a lot, and it's going to give Medlin the chance to clear him here, but he's now going to deal with the 2 car. Slides up a little bit, but the 2 Sherwood blocking Altus there, and that's going to allow Medlin to get by as Altus now dives to the bottom.
And air also was going to be that of Chris Essery, who's trying to make a move as Stitz gets spun around, keeps it straight. Somehow we continue to race on, and it's going to be our front 6 all on top of one another. Actually, our front 7, contact, step into the wall, starting. So no Sherwood's hit spun around. We stay green as Andrew Medlin now has the lead and is trying to pull away.
Yeah, 3 wide off the corner there with Sherwood, Altus, and I believe Essery there. And Sherwood gets the worst of it, I think. There's some more damage to the front end of the 24 of Cameron Sarton. This has just allowed Medlin to clear them both and kind of drive away from everybody.
And Ross Tatum now going to get into the outside wall and gives Cameron Sarton an opportunity to potentially take that position back. Won't be able to do it. And it's Chris Essery, the driver who struggled during qualifying, now trying to figure out how to get by and go for second place and potentially the lead here.
Yeah, and for Altus, I mean, he's been out front all night. Now he's got to deal with not only trying to get back to the front, but hold off this 32 machine, who's shown a lot of speed here tonight after having that poor qualifying run to see. Now pressures the 94 machine, and right behind him we have Ross Tatum and the 24 of Cameron Sarton trying to close the gap.
And for Andrew Medlin, I mean, this has been a beat and grind type of a race. He has just been trying to get so close. And you never would have thought it was going to be teammates that backfire and throw away an opportunity for Altus to keep the lead.
Yeah, not sure what was really going on there on that restart. Those 3 were, I mean, they were 3 wide there with the 2 teammates. And sure, in the team channel, there's some discussions going on about that restart.
And now it's going to be seeing Andrew Medlin, Joshua Altis, going to be trying to figure out what is going to happen from here on out. Can Essery shake up our front 2? Or will it just be stay single file and steady as we are now less than 70 laps to go here at Lucas Oil Raceway, as it is the MCI Graphics 185 presented by AMR Paintworks, and it's going to be seen potentially a chance of some aggressive driving to the end of this race as Ken Campbell fell back to 6th place in the 15 machine. He looked very strong in the early going for a driver that qualified 3rd.
Yeah, Campbell, I think, got checked up a little bit when they were 3 wide and with the Sherwood and all of them. Gave up a couple of spots there, and now looking to recover from that. But it showed some speed there in that 15 machine. Now he's just got to work his way back up to the front.
See drivers even further back trying to make their march forward. John Dart talked about the fact that he's stuck with this set. Same for Cameron Sarton. 5th place for Sarton. John Dart's up to 8th. And that of Nick Holland, hoping to have a decent run for himself. But Joshua Altis, he's been pushed out of the way. Now back to 4th and potentially worse. The 94, who looked like he was dominating and going to just win this race all out. Well, he's now just struggling to stay inside the top 5.
Yeah, Cameron Sarton gave him a little bit of a shove there into the corner, got him up out of the groove, got by him, and that also allowed the 11 of Ross Tatum to get by him. And I think we're starting to see that aggression ramp up here. Not as much patience to ride around behind somebody. Starting to see that front bumper come to use here as now Cameron Sarton looks to get around the 94 of Altus.
And if you're Chris Essery in the 32, you can get aggressive. He is the only driver in our top 5 that has not used the fast repair yet. So that chrome nose can be utilized as Cameron Sarton, the 2-time champ, gives a little bit of a tap to the 94, trying to get him loose off the exit. Not good enough. Going to stay single file out for now. As the 24 tries once again, and for Cameron Sarton, he wants to make moves, but he cannot cause yellow to come out because he is on older tires and doesn't have another set to have him pit road to work with. And yellow flag comes out right in the middle of the field.
Just what the 24 and the 13 didn't want to see was a caution. So we'll have to go back and take a look to see what happened.
Philip Chavez is going to be caught up in another incident. And Zachary Peterson, another one of those drivers from SMB Motorsports, trying to get by that of the 101. Dives it down low and it just did not stick. There was no grip there. The 96 just body slams the 101.
Yeah, just tried to pull off a slide job there and was never really clear. Was the 96 of Zachary Peterson gets up into the, but basically, like you said, just body slams Chavez there, and Chavez spins it around. Everybody doing a pretty good job there of getting by him, but it's got to be frustrating for Chavez. Had that spin early on, was trying to recover from it, and it spun out again.
101 just has been a rough day, and it continues to get rough. And what's crazy, still has not used his fast repair. So Philip Chavez just wait until that very last moment or until that engine blows to go for another shot. The timing of this yellow now going to be putting us closer to 60, less than 60 laps to go once we get this, get back to green flag racing. Doesn't look like that many drivers want to use their last set now, but it's not the worst thing in the world to do. I mean, we got to see Cameron Sarton, also John Dart. They proved that having just that of 15 to 30 lap fresher tires is incredible pace to be having over everyone else. As a couple of drivers do come in, that of Robert Sherwood, he had 2 sets to work with. He'll take 1, and he'll have 1 left now.
Yeah, Sherwood coming in, getting that damage fixed from the contact with his teammate that sent him to the inside wall and taking those fresh set of tires. So we'll have to watch. You know, Sherwood showed some speed even before that last caution. Before everybody took fresh tires, was up there running inside the top 5, had some speed. So we'll have to see how well he recovers here in the 2, especially with those fresh tires, how quickly he can make his way up through the field.
We're getting these drivers set up for tonight as we are going to be 60 laps to go for tonight's race, as it's going to be seeing Andrew Medlin, Chris Essery, that of Ross Tatum, Joshua Altus, Cameron Sarton, hoping that they can get a good run here tonight. But how well can they hold off is going to be the real question.
Essery is showing that he's willing to be aggressive, moving the 94 of Altis out of the way. So, you know, for Medlin, he's going to have to watch out for that. And then right behind him, Ross Tatum done a really good job getting back up there in the 11 machine, and watch out for him. I mean, he's had a lot of speed here and equally as aggressive. So those two trying to chase down the 11 here to see, you know, who's got what.
Who's going to be aggressive? Who's going to stay back? If we look at the fast repairs for drivers, we've got that of Chris Essery starting in 2nd place. Then you fall back to that of 6th place where we find Ken Campbell, Nick Holland, and as well a long string of drivers that still have fast repairs in their back pocket, which means the aggression level, it might ramp up even more knowing that you've got a safety net and a 1 shot to give here tonight. As the drivers get set, the lights are off, meaning we've got the 1 to go indicator up in the air. It's been a crazy night so far, but it's time to see, with less than 60 laps to go, the laps tick away and they're quickly going to tick off. So you better make your moves now, as it's time to go back to green flag racing here for the Full Send Racing Series. Race number 7 here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting into the restart zone, and we are green heading down into turn number 1.
And Medlin there, great restart. There's no contact between Tatum and Altis since the 94 sideways. He saves it though, and we stay green, but Altis trying to be aggressive, and it stacks up the whole back of the pack.
We're going to be 2 wide, almost 3 wide in the middle of the field, but somehow hold on. It's going to be Timmy McNally getting a push by that of Zachary Peterson. Now it's all on. You're seeing the bump and runs. It's all about making the positions of the passes now. It's going to be from Altis. What a dismal run for himself. Was leading this race, feeling so confident, now battling for 12.
Yeah, you know, he's just got to make as many positions up as he can, or maybe hope that there's a early caution, come down, get forward some fresh tires, and try to work his way back up there. But for the 94 machine, I mean, it's just gone from bad to worse for him.
And as the drivers continue to race this thing out with how weird that start was, Chris Essery now going to fall back to almost a half a second to Andrew Medlin, who continues to feel great up front. But the driver in my eyes to watch out for has to be the driver in 20th place, the 2 machine of Rob Sherwood. How aggressive is he going to be trying to get through this field, because he's stuck around drivers that have brought out caution after caution here tonight? Can he cleanly get by through this group?
Yeah, he's got Daniel Keith Jr. right there, Philip Chavez in the 101 in front of him, trying to work his way through this field, really not making much ground up as quickly as I thought he would in that 2 machine. Now it looks like he's going to be able to get around the 23 of Daniel Keith Jr., but not moving up as quickly as I thought he would on those fresher tires.
I think the main reason why is there's a wall in front of him. It's kind of difficult to make any passes when you've got drivers that are side by side. Now should be the time to make some big movements with everyone in line having to check up, and the 2 trying to figure out how to be aggressive. But as well, you know, when you've got drivers that are going to be so off pace between yourself and, you know, with fresh tires and those with old tires, sometimes you just don't realize how much you have to back off and not run into one another with that closing rate.
Yeah, we've seen it a couple of times, you know, how much quicker the closing rate is on those new tires compared to the old ones. But so far, looking like being kind of patient is, the 3 gets into the wall there a little bit. I'm sure Sherwood gets by him, but just being a little bit patient and making his way up through here as he continues to make up some ground, now setting sights on the 4 of Aaron Hale and the 52 of Lyle Christensen.
As we move up and seeing some of the other battles that are in front of us, it's going to be running on board with the 29 of Bo Tiffany, who rides in 7th place. Going to be Chris Stitz behind, and Christopher Wade in 9th place behind these drivers as they're trying to figure out how to catch up to the 15 of Ken Campbell. And Campbell's been a pretty difficult driver to pass once you get single filed up with everyone. But driver, I am surprised on how well they got through this field and all that chaos. The 68, Nick Holland, he's up to 5th.
Yeah, Holland just, you know, quietly working his way up through the field, doing a really good job keeping it clean in that 68 machine as he's right behind Cameron Sarton in the 24, and, you know, not too far in front of them is Ross Tatum and Chris Essery. They battle for 2nd place, but really good run here for the 68 of Nick Holland.
Cameron Sarton, that last lap was just a little bit off of our leader's pace, but no one is really even close to Andrew Medlin, which has got to be feeling great if you're Medlin, because your top competition of Joshua Altus is not even inside the top 10 after being bumped and pushed back. And then you've got some other contenders that really aren't factors at the moment. And this is going to be causing these drivers up front, hoping, if you're Andrew Medlin, for this race to continue to stay green, because no one's even close to him.
Yeah, if you're Andrew Medlin, you don't want to see a caution right now, as he is just setting sail in that 12 machine and really kind of showing you the pace that he had in that car. You know, being stuck behind Altus there for so long, I think he was quicker, and now just proving that now that he's out in clean air.
And looking at the drivers and their fastest laps that they put on the last 3 laps, fastest driver, no surprise, it's Robert Sherwood. He's back in 15th. Look at the drivers that are inside of our top 10, though. It's really not even close. It's really only that of Andrew Medlin, which kind of puts a question mark in my eyes. Is he burning off those tires too much, or is he just that consistent for the 12 machine who leads this race? As we look at the drivers in 7th place, once again, the battling that's going on between Tiffany, Stitz, Wade, and others trying to close in on our top 5.
And, you know, right there, Ken Campbell almost got into the outside wall coming out of turn 2, lost a little bit of ground there to the 29 of Bo Tiffany, who's having a good run for himself, up 12 spots from where he started in that 29 machine. And right behind them, Stitz trying to recover. He's been into the outside wall a couple of times, but been inside our top 5 most of the night, falling back here a little bit, trying to make some ground up.
And John Dart, just stay consistent, keep running his own race. It's been a great showing for a driver that this is going to be his first start of the season for the 13, and it's been a good one to be up inside of our top 10.
And Dart, been aggressive, started well back in the field, worked his way up on a different kind of strategy than everybody else, but done a really good job for himself in that 13 machine as he tries to, you know, keep up here with the back of the 53 of Christopher Wade. A really good run from Dart is, you know, he looks, as this battle heats up here, as Tiffany looks to the inside of the 15 of King Campbell.
And as well, going to be on camera. Got to see a little bit of the 2 making his passes. Easily got by his teammate of Zachary Peterson. Is going to be that of Rob Sherwood. And the 2 started all the way back in 20th position on that last restart. Only up that of 6 spots. But it's starting to show those fresher tires. I think sitting behind that, you know, back half of the field for so long, it's enabled him to save his tires a little bit more, and now the two starting to make some big runs now.
Yeah, making some ground up, caught up now to his teammate Altus there. I wonder if there's going to be any love lost between those two after the contact that they made a couple of restarts ago, so we'll have to wait and see how that plays out.
We'll see if the teammates want to give each other space, or will it be miscommunication once more? And it looks like miscommunication could be the key again, as two right on the back bumper, a little bit of a bump. And it's always interesting when you see teammates that you're either going to play the team game and just get out of the way and play nice, or you're going to just let them race it out. It looks like it is race it out between the 94 and the two machine.
Yeah, I don't think Altus is just going to let Sherwood by after what Sherwood did there on that restart. So these two are going to have to fight it out. And for Sherwood, actually eating up more life out of these fresher tires and losing him some ground to these guys in front of him that he's trying to make up.
Well, you say lose ground, but they're actually starting to close up on this group. You talked about it a little bit on the 15, Ken Campbell being passed by that of Bo Tiffany, and now the battling for that has turned into side-by-side action for 9th place as John Dart able to get by Ken Campbell, and Campbell is going backwards.
Yeah, Campbell's been passed now by Tiffany, Stitz, Wade, and Dart, so the 15 machine falling back. He tries to fight back here to the inside of John Dart, but for Ken Campbell, maybe used up a little bit too much of those tires as he is falling like a rock in that 15 machine.
Didn't even to go backwards, and now the question looms. Will the two make this pass and have tires left to even try to close in on that front pack in front of them? And it was worrisome about that of Andrew Medlin. What was going to happen with the 12? Well, looking at our times, not too scared as he's got himself a 2.5 gap lead over the 11 of Ross Tatum.
Yeah, Tatum able to get by Esri there, but not really able to make up much ground to Andrew Medlin.
Oh, we moved away. We moved away from it for a second, and it's going to be that of Altus being spun around and bringing out the yellow.
Oh, and the night just keeps getting worse for the 94 machine now, getting caught up in a wreck. As it looks like, looking at it, looks like Timmy McNally got up into the 94 there of Altus, and then he gets hit from behind and spins the 94 to the inside wall.
And then this teammate of Zachary Peterson runs into the back bumper of the 94, and Zachary Peterson, he hates to be involved with that wreck, but Joshua Altus, who we were questioning at the stage break, why did he use his fast repair? And I think it might have been just a unclick for himself. Now the 94 is going to have to come to pit road and manually get repaired for himself, as he's got no rear bumper, but luckily doesn't have what we call the meatball flag, a required damage flag thrown at the 94.
Yeah, just spiraling downhill for Altus, and it's got to be so frustrating for him as a driver leading the race, have some issues with your teammate, and just get caught up in a wreck like this, and now not having your quick repair. That 94 is going to be hurt all night long. But Sam, a little bit of different pit strategy here is Andrew Medlin and a couple of our leaders have come in, but a lot of them have stayed out.
Ross Tatum decides to stay out. Cameron Sarton, who has no more tires, he's going to be forced to stay out. And then we're also going to be seeing that of Chris Stitz, that of John Dart, who's out of tires as well. You've got Robert Sherwood, who is in a questionable spot for the two machine, stays out. Aaron Hale, as well as that of Ryan Lynch. And that is going to be your top 8, all deciding to stay out and are going to be on about that of 43-lap old tires, except for Rob Sherwood. It's going to be 24-lap old tires. Everyone else getting fresh rubber, except for Brian Burchett, who goes with a 2-tire strategy. He's going to be that of the 4th highest runner of everyone that just came into pit road.
I'm just going to make this restart. I mean, we thought the previous restarts were chaotic and hectic. This one's going to be wild. You have, 40-lap old tires, 20-lap old tires, 2 tires, 4 tires, and we're closing in on, 34 laps to go. I can't wait. I'm excited for this restart, Sam.
Well, if you want to get a little bit of control, this is what you're going to need is the admin box. It's a premium button box with plug, set, go, and make sure you're the best admin or race control in your league or hosted race. Go use the promo code FFB-BOXX. That is FOB-box with 2 X's. The admin box. It is probably the best item that you can grab for those race controls for leagues or hosted race. as well as got to give a shout out to Advanced Sim Racing. Advanced Sim Racing is your one-stop shop. It's practically the eBay of finding yourself a racing rig with your monitor stands, racing wheels. They've got practically all that you need to make sure you've got the best iRacing racing rig. And also, it attaches to that of iRacing iFlag and admin box. So go get your items, go get them now. And for Advanced Sim Racing, use your discount code FreakyFast5 for 5% off. As we are getting ourselves set up and ready to go, it's going to be 30 laps to go when we go green. Trevor, I mean, like we were talking before we got to those ad reads, a lot of different strategies, but the lights are off. We're going green this time by. I mean, how do you, as the front eight, even try to attempt to hold off the rest of the field?
You're going to have to throw blocks. I think you're going to have to be aggressive with the moves you make. You got to be decisive and just hope that you don't get run over too hard from behind. You can hold on to it. And then for the guys further back on fresh tires, it's all about getting through these guys as cleanly as possible and not running each other over, especially if you're Andrew Medlin. I mean, you've had the dominant car after you got around Altus there, and now admired all the way back here in 10th, and we've seen how hard it is to pass. We're just going to have to wait and see as we get the restart going here.
We are back to green flag racing. Ross Tatum is gone. It's going to be side by side for second place. It's going to be Bo Tiffany, Cameron Sartin trying to hold off for now. The 24. He's been quick. He's been aggressive. But can he get by? He will. Cleared from the 29. Will Bo Tiffany drift up? He will. Will there be any bumps and runs? It's going to be Chris Stitz throwing it down. But behind, it's Medlin loose up into the wall. Oh no, the big one striking here tonight with 30 laps to go.
Oh, just heartbreak for Medlin there. Got it loose on the bottom, overcorrected, and just huge wreck in turn 3 and 4 right there.
And Andrew Medlin, who had already used the faster pair, fresh tires, just tried to be aggressive, but at probably the most difficult time of the race. And the patience level wasn't there, threw it down and got hard on the brakes. Potentially thought about, when you get that low, that flat, the rear end wants to kick out on you immediately, and that's what we got to see.
Yeah, it kicks out on him there and then tries to save it, overcorrects, and nowhere there for Nick Holland to go. He was having a good run. Aaron Hale involved as well, and just big damage there for those drivers. Is looks like Holland on his roof there.
For Nick Holland as well as that of Aaron Hale, both had faster pairs, but for the 12 machine, he does not. And for Daniel Keith Jr., he doesn't have a faster pair. He's got a required damage flag, as well as that of Brian Burchett. He's going to have to sit in pit road. And for Andrew Medlin, all have to sit in pit road for required damage, which with some of the hits that we saw, that it could be quite a while for themselves. But as I say that, Andrew Medlin was able to get his repairs done in time and is back out on track on the lead lap.
Good job by him staying on the lead lap there. Not a lot of damage, required damage apparently for that 11 machine, or that 12 machine, but I don't know if he's going to be able to work his way back up there with all that damage and be, a contender in this race. And that's two of our top cars gone. Two of the most dominant cars we've seen here tonight, pretty much out of this race.
They're going to be sent to the end of the line for themselves, as Joshua Altus has been heavily damaged, as well as now Andrew Medlin going to be sent to the end of the line with his damage, which now kind of puts this race into a complete unknown spot. Those were our top two all night long, and now we're going to have Ross Tatum, who got the pole award, but was so passive on the start of the race, we really didn't know what we were going to see. You got Cameron Sartin, who's was one of the fastest drivers for the past about 20 laps on these set of tires. But then you look back to Chris Essery, that of, Christopher Wade. They've got the freshest tires, and they've got advantage over those that are up front by over 40 laps. As long as we stay green, Christopher Wade and Chris Essery look to be the favorites to win this thing.
Yeah, they look to be the guys sitting kind of in the proverbial catbird seat here with the freshest tires, but right in front of them, Rob Sherwood. Yeah, he's on 20-lap older tires than Essery and Wade, but he's also on 20-lap newer tires than everybody in front of him. So the two car, might have something for these guys in front of him.
He might have something, but he's going to have to ask for an absolute blunder by Wade and Essery that are going to start right next to the two machine. As we get ourselves ready for the restart here tonight, The lights continue to tick away. It is going to be 25 laps to go when we go green. Ross Tatum, Cameron Sarton, Bo Tiffany, Chris Stitz, out of John Dart, Robert Sherwood, your top 6, going to be on older tires compared to the rest of the field behind them. Watch out for that of Christopher Wade and Chris Cesare. They're going to be flying through this field if we can stay green. That's the key. Do we get a quick yellow or do we stay green? The MSI Graphics 185 ready to go back to green flag racing. And the 11, the 24, they're off. And it's going to be Ross Tatum already gone. The rest of the field already trying to make some aggressive passes.
And Tatum shot out of a cannon there in that 11 machine. Sarton gets clear. Oh, there's a little bit of contact between Stitz and Tiffany. So Stitz up the track, and that allows Sherwood to get by him. But for Ross Tatum, the restart that he wanted there in that 11 machine.
But is it a big enough gap? Christopher Wade, fresh tires are going to be to the inside. Going to be getting by Stitz, and the rookie behind. It's Nick Holland into the inside pit wall.
Oh, and just the night continues to spiral downward for Holland. Just used his quick repair there, and now spinning to the inside wall. Was having such a good run in that 68 machine. So we'll take a look back and see what happens here.
It's going to be 2 different spins happening at the same exact time. You're going to see the 68 and 48 going to be side by side. But the checkup by the 3 getting out of the corner. We're going to see a little bit of a spin behind. That's the 33, but it's the body slam with the 3 machine that gets Nick Holland spun around.
Yeah, just got a little tight, got up there into the side of that machine and spins it down to the inside wall. And, you know, we've seen that now. It's the 3rd car we've seen hit the inside pit wall there. So not a lot of damage for Holland here, as we've seen, you know, I believe it was Cameron Sarton was able to recover from that, and Philip Chavez was able to recover from that. So hopefully for Holland, he can get back up there.
See the 94 back into pit road trying to get some more repairs done, and I believe getting the lucky dog spot might be the 23 of Daniel Keith Jr., who was the only driver a lap down. As long as he didn't get any incident points during that yellow, he should be good to get back on the lead lap, which will put us back to 21 drivers on the lead lap. As into pit road for damage is going to be Ken Campbell, Joshua Altus, as well as Ryan Lynch doing a drive-through for the 3 machine. But up front, Trevor, I mean, Rob Sherwood did a great job continuing to stay in front of the 53 of Christopher Wade. He's going to be now, again, trying to continue to push forward, as it's only going to be Ross Tatum, Sarton, Bo Tiffany on those 56 lap old tires compared to everyone else behind. Rob Sherwood's on that of 37 lap old tires, and then you've got Christopher Wade on 15 lap old tires compared to the rest of the field. Andrew Medlin, he's up to 10th place after his required damage that he had gotten, but everyone else having so many issues. The 12 still officially not out of this one yet.
Yeah, I mean, if these leaders get together enough, I mean, who knows? Medlin might be right back in this thing, even with his, you know, hard of a hit as he took there a couple cautions ago. But, you know, for Christopher Wade, did a really good job getting around Chris Essery, put a car in between him and put a car between himself and Essery and Chris Stitz. It's on older tires and going to have the bottom here. And I think that's kind of where he wants to be on those fresh tires, able to kind of roll the bottom, get the better drive off compared to everybody in front of him. But I mean, the aggression level has gone through the roof here, and I don't expect this to be the last caution that we see here tonight.
Of the drivers that are still in this race with a fast repair, it's going to be Bo Tiffany, the 29, the 2 of Robert Sherwood, then the 22 of Chris Stitz. Then you got to fall all the way down to John Dart, and then all the way down to 15th of Zachary Peterson. Those are the only drivers that still have a fast repair in their back pocket to work with. Everyone else has already used it up, and now it's time to see how aggressive does the 29 get on this start. Can he keep himself side by side with Cameron Sarton on this restart? That's going to be the key. And then watch out for the 53, who's going to be the 3rd car in line on the inside. Freshest tires on the track so far, and as well the most furthest ahead with those fresh tires.
Yeah, you're gonna, for Sarton and for Tatum, it's all about getting a good restart here, especially for Cameron Sarton having that advantage being the leader here. He wants to get out to a big enough lead that he can, but I don't think it's going to be enough. You've got Sherwood there who's shown speed on fresher tires, and you've got right behind Sherwood, you've got the 53, so it's going to be tough for these top 4 to hang on.
Time to tell who will survive, as it's going to be 20 laps less when we go green on who's going to win tonight. You got Rob Sherwood looking for his first win, potentially back in that a third. You got that of Bo Tiffany also looking for their first win, and many of others. Who's going to beat out the front two? Time will tell as we're back to green flag racing, and a great launch by that of Cameron Sarton, keeping the 29 side by side with Rob Sherwood, and that's a nightmare for the two. He was hoping to be clear, being able to make some passes. He'll be stuck side by side, and now the 53 is going to be battling for fourth place.
Yeah, a little bit of contact between Tiffany and Sherwood put Sherwood into the wall, and that's going to allow the 53, Christopher Wade, to get by him as Esri now tries to get by the two of Sherwood, and caution's out on the racetrack.
Caution's out, and it's Ryan Lynch in the 3, spun around.
Cautions breed cautions, Sam, as we get another one here on the restart. Is the aggression level, again, like we touched on, getting down to less than 20 laps to go. These drivers' patience are out the window here.
And once you get this late, you're hoping that the wrecks that are going to happen is someone just getting too aggressive on hitting someone. This is going to be too aggressive by getting too low. The 3 machine of Ryan Lynch, too low, gets back into the throttle too soon. And away he goes, self-spinning to bring out another late yellow, which this is now, with the timing of this yellow, with how many laps are going to be left in this race, Ross Tatum is in a prime spot to find himself back into victory lane, as Christopher Wade only able to get up to 4th position.
Yeah, Wade only able to get that one spot there on Sherwood. And for these top 3, Tiffany, Sarton, and Tatum, I mean, this is what they want. Just keep getting these quick yellows, tick off these laps so these fresh tires don't have the advantage. Right now, sitting at 15 laps to go. If they get another quick yellow, they might be sitting in a good enough, with not enough laps left for Wade or Esri to really do anything.
Driver instead of our top 10 that actually made the most moves under that last restart that was very quick was going to be Andrew Methlin, up 2 spots from 10th up to 8th now is the 12 machine. So never give up mentality is there. But Ross Tatum, Cameron Sarton, obviously going to be 2 of the hardest drivers to get by. You've got Cameron Sarton, the 2-time champ of the Full Send Racing Series. And then you've got Ross Tatum, who's just been a superstar rookie this season. Found himself winning early at Kansas for race number 2 off of some great pit road strategies and tire conservation mode for the 11. Here tonight, it could be another pit strategy call that gets the 11 back into victory lane with staying out and keeping his tires in his back pocket while the rest of the field went with grip over track position.
Yeah, the track position call, if he gets this win, is going to be huge for the 11 machine. As we've seen how difficult it's been to pass, but you never know if this is the last caution. I mean, that's going to give the advantage to Wade and Esri, but I just don't see it being that way. And for Tatum and Sarton and even Bo Tiffany, you got to hope that we get another couple of quick cautions.
Who is going to get it done here tonight? Time will tell as the laps continue to tick away as we're under yellow. Got to say thanks to our sponsors here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, and for that of the Full Send Racing Series, want to give thanks to Next Level Racing, Lap Traffic Podcast, and ButtKicker for being the main sponsors here for the Full Send Racing Series, and the race sponsor here tonight, going to be MCI Graphics 185 here tonight, presented by AMR Paintworks. And AMR Paintworks has been a great sponsor throughout this season. Has been giving away free paint schemes to the winners throughout the season. And here tonight, see who can get another win. It's been a different winner at every track we've gone to here for race number 7. Will we have our first multi-time winner, or will we get 7 races, 7 different winners? If we're going to see that different winner, it's going to come from that 2nd to 3rd row. And that's where we find a lot of drivers that have come up second fiddle a lot of other series that we've covered, and as well this season. Trevor, it's going to be finding ourselves close to almost 10 laps to go in this race. Who are you picking if you think someone's going to get a win here tonight?
I don't want to curse anybody. The commentators curse, but I'm looking at the 53 there, Christopher Wade. I mean, he's got the freshest tires. He's starting, on the outside line here, and if the 24 can get a good start, look for that 53 machine to be there.
It's old tires against new, and up front, its front row is the oldest tires on track. We're into the restart zone. We're back to green flag racing. Ross Tatum got a fantastic start. So did Christopher Wade. It's going to be side by side for third place as Bo Tiffany is just a sitting duck on the inside lane. There's just too much grip, too much speed. Christopher Wade, though, couldn't get the launch. They're stuck side by side, diving into turn number 3.
Yeah, and that stacks up Essery, and not far behind him, Medlin. Medlin looking to the outside of Sherwood, but Wade with a great launch off now looking to the inside of the 24 of Cameron Sarton for second.
Contact between the 12 and the 2. Sherwood's going to go back to 8th place as Andrew Medlin goes up to 6th, but the fresh tires now going to be rolling in 3rd and 4th position. Cameron Sarton defending, hoping he can hold off the rest of the drivers as Ross Tatum holds, and it won't. Caution flag, it's the 101 once again here tonight. It's Philip Chavez. And another yellow flag with 10 laps to go. This might put us in a 5-lap shootout for the end of this thing.
Oh, this is going to get exciting as now this puts the 53 right behind our race leader of Ross Tatum on this restart as we take a look at here and see what happens to the 101 of Philip Chavez.
And it's Nick Holland again. Just unlucky. And then there's going to be Lyle Christensen as well getting a little bit of a clip, and that's what brings out our late yellow. With 10 laps to go. Well, stack them and try again, I guess.
Yeah, rack them up, try it again, and see what happens. But this is the second row now. Freshest tires in the field with Wade and Essery. And then right behind them, the man that you touched on, if this got wild, could still have a shot at it. Andrew Medlin's going to be in that third row on the outside line behind Chris Essery.
I mean, another caution and another restart and up 2 positions for the 12 machine. I mean, he's just, I don't understand how he's doing this without damage that car is, but we touched on it. As long as you've got an engine that's at full speed, you got tires underneath you, it doesn't matter how beat up you look on the aero side of things. It's all about the tires and the engine at the end of the day, and Andrew Medlin's proven it at this moment.
It's still got full power, got the freshest, actually has the freshest tires in the field by about 10 laps compared to Wade and Essery, and he's right back in this thing. If this gets hairy up front with Essery and Wade trying to get around Tatum and Sarton, Medlin just might find himself in victory lane.
And now the question looms for third place starter Christopher Wade. He's now going to be on the inside on this start, and he's going to have the front row of old tires of Ross Tatum, Cameron Sarton. Where does Ross Tatum want to place himself? Because wherever he goes, the driver behind most likely is going to have that advantage on the start to get by the 24. And it's kind of a lose-lose situation if you're Ross Tatum, because you're hoping Cameron Sarton can keep up on this restart, but he has been kind of falling off on figuring out the timing, which has made the battle for second look a lot closer than really it should.
Yeah, Sarton hasn't really been able to get a good jump there with the 11 of Ross Tatum, hasn't timed it well. And that might give the advantage here to the 53 of Christopher Wade. And it might stack up the top line with Essery being on those fresher tires over Cameron Sarton as well. I mean, that could cause the top line to check up pretty bad. But, I mean, if you're Christopher Wade right here, you want the best restart possible. You want to be right on the bumper of Ross Tatum on this restart so you can clear that 24 machine and not have to fight him in turn 1 and 2.
Driver that came into pit road was caught up with some bumping against one another. It's going to be that of Robert Sherwood, and Rob Sherwood as well has a last set of tires that he'll put on, and the 2 is going to restart back in 21st position. It's going to be hoping for at least some type of net gain after being forced all the way back to 15th after contact between himself and Andrew Medlin. And with this going to be a 5-lap shootout, now it's on to see who can survive and make it to the end. Will it be the front row on 70-lap older tires compared to the 30-lap older tires of those in second and third place? The advantage is massive for Christopher Wade and Chris Essery, but it's all about blocking, defending for the finish here tonight. A 5-lap shootout for the Full Send Racing Series. We've seen the tire advantage be the key to win a lot of these races so far this season. Will the older tires advance, or will it be the newer ones as we're back to green flag racing and Ross Tatum got his lead? And this is perfect for Cameron Sarton. It's the fresh tires that are stuck side by side now.
Yeah, side by side. Essery trying to make a move there, wasn't able to do it. Now this puts Sarton battling with Christopher Wade, but Wade able to clear now. And there's
Jello.
caution.
and it's Nick Holland again. It's a bigger wreck than before. More drivers piling in. Altis involved and others, and a little bit of a tap given there as Boyd trying to finish off the 94, I guess.
I mean, just nights that have gone from good to just nightmarish. Nick Holland in the 68 and Joshua Altis in the 94. Those two guys have gone from the front of the field now to just having absolutely torn up race cars as we look at this replay and see just contact there with the 68, got him spun sideways and nowhere to go when you're all stacked up like that on top of one another.
The 101 of Philip Chavez comes in, just body slam T-bones with that of the 52. Ken Campbell gets knocked in. And it's just a pinball machine at that point of everyone just knocking around with everyone else. And for Philip Chavez, he will get the required damage flag. And I think for the 101, he's happy to say this could be his last restart. That was his last restart of the night, as he has been involved with a lot of cautions here this evening. And with the timing of that yellow, these drivers look to be placed into overtime. But the question looms of how many overtime attempts will we have? In other series, it's 3. For some, it's just 1. And some I've actually seen of some leagues are saying you can only get 2 restarts for yourself. As we wait for them to cross the line, this go around, this will give us the indication. It is 1 attempt out of 3 that we're going into.
3 attempts here, and the way this is going, I think we're going to use all 3 of them. But for Ross Tatum, not what you want to see to your outside is that 53 machine of Christopher Wade.
And it's going to be seen 81 trying to back off as thought he was going to get the lucky dog position. I don't think the 81 nor is anybody going to get the lucky dog spot because the 81 made contact with Joshua Altis, which negates that lucky dog that he would have been able to get. As drivers are waiting for the 1 to go indicator here, we got 3 attempts at overtime. Now with overtime, it's a 2-lap shootout that you're given. If we get to the 1 to go marker, we will then, if we get the 1 to go marker with the white flag, we'll race it to the end. But if we're under the 2 to go lap and a yellow flag comes out, we will go into our 2nd attempt. If the same thing happens, yellow flag where we're under our 2 to go marker, we will then go into our 3rd attempt. If that happens in our 3rd attempt, the race will end under yellow. But if we get to the white flag, the gloves are off. The only flag they're getting to is to the checkered. And Trevor, at a course like this, I wouldn't be surprised if we see someone just ultimately send it into that last corner.
I wouldn't be surprised at all to see somebody try to pull a slide job or a wall ride it around the corner to make up positions. I mean, this is going to... We thought the last couple of restarts were hectic. You're in green-white checkered territory now. You've got Ross Tatum, Christopher Wade on new tires, Sarton on old tires, Essery on new tires, Medlin's back up there in 5th on fresh tires, Tiffany's on old tires. I mean, it is a mixed bag inside our top 10. Who's on new, who's on old tires? This is going to be wild.
Front 2 going to be on different sets of tires. Same for our 2nd row. 3rd row going to be drivers that are heavily damaged but hoping for the best. And this restart is the 1st attempt at overtime. We got 3 if needed. But if we can get to the white flag, that will be the official flag to send us to the end of this race. Otherwise, the yellow will send us to attempt number 2. It's Ross Tatum on the inside. Get into the restart zone, and we are green here for overtime. Ross Tatum didn't get the launch that he wanted. The fresh tires are great for Christopher Wade. He's going to try to roll on the outside. The grip's there, but we go to overtime, attempt number 2. They're wrecking further back.
Didn't make it to turn number 2, and caution is out. Attempt number 2, here we come.
And it's going to be the similar grouping of drivers that are going to bring out this yellow. Doug Pierce looked to be the driver spun around, but it looked like mistakes trying to get up through the gears on that restart.
And for Ross Tatum, exactly what he wanted to see. Quick caution puts us into attempt number 2. The last couple of, just knocking down the number of attempts that Christopher Wade has to get around him.
And now the question is, will we get to attempt number 3? And if we get to attempt number 3, this race could end under yellow. But if attempt 2 really is the sign for Christopher Wade, will he have the grip? I mean, he was right there. If we had gotten out at turn number 2, I think the 53 could have been side by side, if not had a nose over Ross Tatum. that yellow kind of saved the 11 for another try at a better restart here. Try to get a little bit of a bigger gap to work with.
Yeah, it gives him a shot to maybe change up, think about where he's going to restart this time by. Wade did a pretty good job of timing it. And, allowed Essery also to clear the 24 of Cameron Sarton. So Essery now up to third. So second and third now on the fresher tires. So this could get really interesting now with Essery not having to do battle with Cameron Sarton on the restart.
And if Ross Tatum gets a great launch, and if Essery does, that means we could be seeing side by side for second place. As 81 of Michael Boyd was not involved with that last incident, so he'll get the lucky dog spot and be down just out of 6 laps down, trying to crack into the 20th position, as he'll be on the same laps down as Lyle Christensen, and Lyle is in pit road, so the 81 will move up to 20th spot. Well, it's been a crazy season so far for that of the Full Send Racing Series. This is race number 7. Race 8, we head to Charlotte Motor Speedway. We're not at the Roval anymore. We're going to try out the Oval this go-around. Week after that, drivers head out to Bristol. And then week 10, it's Indianapolis Motor Speedway. These drivers starting to feel that pressure as we're flipping back and forth from an oval to a short track. And these short tracks that we're coming up to, Trevor, it doesn't really get any easier from Lucas Oil to Bristol and then Rockingham 5 weeks later.
Yeah, you go from Lucas Oil to the high banks, high speeds of Bristol, where multiple grooves can be run, tire wear is going to be key there, and then Rockingham, bumpy track, tough on tires. Man, it's going to be exciting here these next couple of races.
And then the last couple of races of the regular season would be seeing the field heading after Rockingham to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, as well as the new Atlanta, and then Martinsville, and finishing out the regular season to Talladega Super Speedway before we get to a 5-race playoff system. 12 drivers make the playoffs. Question is, will tonight be a ticket for one of these drivers? For Christopher Wade, Chris Essery, as well as Bo Tiffany and Andrew Medlin, they're all banking on trying to get a win here, especially for Andrew Medlin. Again, himself and Chris Stitz came into the night tied in points. Andrew Medlin had a great finish at the end of stage 1, but right now it's going to be Medlin and Stitz almost on top of one another on this restart. Attempt number 2 of overtime, ready to get it shown and seen. It's Ross Tatum, going to be on the oldest tires. Then he's got Christopher Wade on fresh tires, Essery on fresh tires, then Cameron Sarton on old tires. The front 4, a little bit of mixture, a little bit of a test, and here we go, attempt number 2 of overtime.
Better restart there from Tatum, but Wade still with those fresh tires, able to just drive around to his outside. He is there, and caution's out again.
Not able to get to the nose, and Ross Tatum holds on as they're wrecking behind in the same group once again. Bringing up the yellow. It's the back half of the field. Mixing it up, racing for nothing, but sending it all around.
We take a look here at the replay. It's like Nick Holland in the 68, the 15 of Campbell. Let me take a look and see what happens here.
Oh, it just looks like it just came in too aggressive.
And it looks like Daniel Keith just gets into the back of the 68 there of Holland, puts him up into the 15 of Ken Campbell, the 39 involved in that. And for Ross Tatum, another caution. The last attempt. He's holding on for now, Sam, but if this next attempt goes longer than a corner and a half, I think he might be in some trouble.
I mean, if you're Ross Tatum, this race is, I feel like it's locked up. You still got a lot of the drivers that have been bringing out the yellows. The last, I would say 10 yellows have been the same 3 revolving door of drivers, and they're all around one another again. I mean, this race looks to be chalked up and thrown away just based on the fact that the back half of the field can't even make it to turn 1 without bringing out a yellow here.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that way, but drivers just being aggressive, trying to make up moves, and it happens. And for Ross Tatum, that's exactly what he wants to see. He is a sitting duck. We've seen it these last 2 restarts. Even if he gets a good jump, he's just a sitting duck for Christopher Wade and the 53 machine. But we're going to have to wait and see here how it plays out. Wade and Essery hoping that they don't see a caution, and Ross Tatum hoping that one comes out, in turn 1 again.
Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting on a Tuesday night. This race was scheduled to be 185 laps. Well, it looks to be aiming to be around 199 when it comes to the end of this thing, as we are now in overtime attempt number 3. Now, if we get to the white flag, we race it to the end, but if a yellow flag comes out, the race will end under yellow, and whatever your positioning was at the time of the yellow flag being thrown, that is where this race will finish. Ross Tatum, if he's going to win this race, he's going to need a yellow flag to come out. For Christopher Wade, for Chris Essery, if they want a ticket to the playoffs, they need this race to stay green or at least get a nose ahead of the 11. And before this yellow flag strikes, Trevor, lights are still on. We're still waiting for that when to go indicator, but I mean, it's looking like the yellow flag is looking very promising. It's going to come out. Wade might have to just wall ride it heading into the corner and not even worry about the way this car looks at it too.
Yeah, I think for Wade, at this point, you just got to send it, be as aggressive as you can here, because you don't know if you're going to get out of turn number 2 and still be under green. The way we've been going here, we haven't made it even out of turn 1 before the cautions come out. So for these guys up front, Wade, Essery, there's no holding back and hoping to get the run on Ross Tatum. You have to be going at the green flag to get every inch that you can.
This season, we've had 6 races before tonight. We've had 6 different winners. Will we have a 7th different winner, or could Ross Tatum break that streak and become the first multi-time winner of this season? He won race number 2 based off of tire strategy. Here tonight, he stayed out, hoping that his 90-lap old tires will hold for the victory. Or could it be Christopher Wade making the outside lane work? Pace car is off. This is the final restart of the Full Send Racing Series here at IRC, and we are green, as it's going to be Ross Tatum. A lot of checkups further on back, and the 11, he's got the nose, he's got the speed, but it's Christopher Wade on the outside, gets close to the outside wall, and he doesn't have the run. The 11 holds on as we continue to stay green.
Wade just did not get he gets into the wall now. He didn't have the run there. Now he does off of turn number 4, but he and Essery battling hard. This is going to allow Tatum to just get away. This is what he wants to see as the white flag is out.
It's your freaky fast white flag in the air. We made it there, and Ross Tatum is gone, but it's going to be one last attempt. Chris Essery needs to get closer, but he's a half a second back. He doesn't have the grip. He doesn't have the speed, but it's the 11. Ross Tatum, the older tires, hold on the last overtime attempt. Ross Tatum wins here tonight.
What a job by Ross Tatum in the 11 machine, becoming our first 2-time winner here this season. Did a great job on that restart, really checked the field up and held up everybody there and was able to get away as Essery and Wade battled it out for 2nd and 3rd.
And there was a big one that happened out of turn number 2 after the white flag came out, and drivers were giving it their all. But at the end of the day, it was the 11 of Ross Tatum that found himself in the victory lane. Here's where the contact and wreck happened. From the battling for drivers for 4th place on back, got into one another, and this is the big one that changed up a lot of where drivers finished at the end of the day.
Yeah, looks like Medlin there comes up into the 24 of Cameron Sarton. Bo Tiffany involved in that. A couple other drivers sneaking by. You see the 39 there trying to get through it and just nowhere for him to go. But, you know, for the 12 of Andrew Medlin, had a good recovery, now going to be back down there in 13th. For Cameron Sarton, had a really good run for himself all the way back to 16th position at the end of that after that contact.
And it's going to be Ross Tatum at the end of the day. The 11 gets to have his fun here tonight. Congratulations to Ross Tatum on his victory. For Chris Essery, Christopher Wade, they're going to have to try again another week later on to see if they can find themselves in victory lane. Next week, going to be heading to the Oval at Charlotte. But for us here tonight, the racing coverage is not over. We got the post-race show. We'll talk to our top 3 here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Don't leave this channel just yet. We'll be back in just a few. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the Full Send Racing Series. Race number 7 is in the books, and Ross Statham becomes our first multi-time winner here this season. But before we talk to our winner, we'll talk to third place and second place, starting things off with Christopher Wade in the 53 to get his thoughts on how tonight went. Chris, it's Sam and Trevor up at the booth. You come away third, but man, give us your thoughts on that final restart coming to the end of this race.
Ross, that's the only way he could get me. He's been going early on those green-white checkers, so I figured he was just going to do the same thing, and I tried guessing when he was going to go, and I was like, oh, shoot, I went early, and then he fired off, and, I think I still about got to him, but then it was just, I needed to be definitely beside him down the straightaway.
Good run there for yourself, Christopher. I'm sure not the finish you wanted based off your pit strategy, but coming home third, I mean, almost got yourself locked into the playoffs, but we head to Charlotte next week. Kind of walk us through how you're feeling going into Charlotte next week.
Usually it's a hit and miss the way these things go. Charlotte, I like the track. Sometimes I just can't get the car how I want it to feel, and tonight this was the first time I think I've even raced on this track, and I figured that the call was to go ahead and take tires. Track position was more important, so I figured maybe it was best to defend at the end of the race. And but it that was it, best of fifth, and it was really really hard to pass as well. So I just figured it would have saved me position just to go ahead and pit with 38. It was a heavy decision for sure, and I seen Ross, my teammate, he stayed out, so I was like, well, I'm just gonna go in.
Well, Chris, we got to see a lot of great racing here tonight. We still got a lot of races before we get to the playoffs. How are you feeling about these next couple of ones heading to Charlotte, Bristol, and Indy?
Bristol, not a fan of that unless they plan to throw some dirt on it. Usually I do pretty well on some dirt, but Indy, I've got to win there in trucks, and like I said, we'll just have to see how I can feel with these cars when we get there.
Well, Chris, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
I want to thank my mom and dad and AC2 Skins. He's the man. You guys for broadcasting, and my teammate Ross and all my other teammates. They couldn't make it tonight. Will and KT, and then Chris. It was pretty fun racing him off the corner. We had a little rub. That was fun, and want to give a shout out to my girlfriend Chelsea and Ken Campbell. He's not my teammate, unfortunately, in this one, but it's always fun being around him and stuff. And thank you guys.
That is going to be the 53 of Christopher Wade. Congratulations on a top 3 finish, and good luck next week heading to that of Charlotte.
Thank you, man.
So go from third place, we had to second, where we got that of Chris Essery up in the booth with us. We got the 32. Chris, it's Sam and Trevor up the booth. What a run for yourself there at the end. Almost able to get there, but what else could you have tried at any part of this race really to gain more positions, or did you feel pretty stuck?
I was first. I wasn't. I didn't expect to be up there. I didn't do a lot of practice. I figured it was going to be a lot of cautions, and it was. And I found myself up there on a great strategy, and I was just frustrated at that point. Guys couldn't stop wrecking. I don't think these guys could drive around Daytona without hitting the wall.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, we saw it in the back, just guys kind of being over aggressive, but. I mean, walk us through. I mean, you started back in, I believe, 13th place after getting to the wall in qualifying. I mean, just how hard was it to make a pass here tonight?
It was. I didn't feel like it was that hard, but I was also getting my passes done super early in the runs, and then the whole race, my mindset was save tires. A couple of times I didn't even do that, and I was still able to gain through some positions, and pitting when I did, that helped tremendously. Saved me a lot of fighting that I didn't have to do.
Well, Chris, you are the highest of all the drivers that have not won in points. This is another fantastic day for yourself points wise. How are you feeling though for the next couple of races? We got Charlotte, Bristol, and Indy the next three. How are you feeling about your chances of potentially getting to victory lane?
I can tell you I feel good, but I felt good all race. I feel like Ryan Blaney right now. I need to get that win out of the way.
I mean, it seems like it is certainly coming with the finishes that we've seen you get. But before we let you go, Chris, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Shout out to FR Graphics. Those guys give me a great car every week. Love those guys over there. If you want a great paint scheme, go to them. Shout out to my team, Average Joes, Brian, Aaron, Phillip. Those guys are awesome to be teammates with. Shout out to my grandparents watching at home. I love you guys. My mom's always watching, and my kids, Liam and Lincoln.
That's going to be Chris Sessery in that of the 32 machine, getting a second place finish. Congratulations on that, and good luck into Charlotte next week.
Thank you, guys.
From second place, we head to victory lane, where we got the first driver to become a two-time winner this season. We've got ourselves Ross Tatum up in the booth. Ross, mind games, we were throwing them out and talking about them earlier in the race, but you certainly fooled everyone on track on that last restart. Man, congratulations on that. And how are you feeling after this win?
Appreciate it, guys. Yeah, I feel great. That was the only way I knew how to beat Chris Wade there at the end, man. He's so good at restarts. I thought I had two really good restarts, those last two green white checkers, and he stayed right beside me. And I knew if we had gotten off the corner, he would have been leading in both of those. So I had to do something different. It sucks he's my teammate and I did it, but I had to trick him somehow.
Ross, great job there on those restarts. But I mean, walk us through your pit strategy there, staying out on basically 70 lap older tires and everybody around you, and just kind of walk us through that decision. Was the track position more important than the fresh tires, you feel?
Yeah, I thought track position would mean everything, and I didn't think there would be any chance they'd get back up through the field and catch me, even if we went green, just because the track was. I mean, it was really hard to pass tonight, and everybody's good enough in this league that you're not just going to make simple passes. So it was tough. I really didn't think they'd get through there, even with the cautions. They were right on my neck, with like 15 to go. So I really didn't think I'd win there at the end. Definitely benefited from all the cautions. So I got to thank everybody who wrecked. I really appreciate that. So, but yeah, I mean, other than the end of the race, it was a good race overall. Besides, like the last 50 laps.
I mean, Ross here tonight. Certainly, those cautions helped you out. But you are now the first driver to become a two-time winner in this series. How are you feeling going into the rest of this regular season? We're closing in. We're practically halfway here after tonight of the regular season. How are you feeling about the rest of this season going forward?
I don't really know. I don't feel like I've really. Uh, I mean, I ran really good at Kansas, but tonight I didn't have the pace really with Andrew Medlin or Josh or any of those guys. I qualified first, but I was fifth after 10 laps. So I don't know. I feel pretty good, but also this league is very competitive. There's a lot of good drivers in here. I mean, Cam Sarton, he's fast every week. Medlin's fast. Campbell's fast. Everybody's fast. So it's going to be tough, even with playoff points, to even get to the, top Final Four or whatever we're doing in here. So it's going to be a tough league to win, and it's gonna take some good luck for sure.
Well, Ross, certainly the luck was on your side here tonight. Congratulations on your second win. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Appreciate it, guys. I got to thank Coca-Cola for paying my bills. I got to thank my wife and kid for letting me race. I know it's not fun for her to have to put the kids to sleep tonight. I got to thank my teammates, KT, Chris Wade, and Will. Will couldn't make it tonight, neither KT, but I'm sure they'll be back next week. And I got to thank you guys at Freaky Fast for all you guys do. Just awesome broadcast, man. I love going back and watching these back, and hopefully other people watching the stream will get you guys on to do their races, because I try to watch as many as I can. I got to thank the league. Everybody here does an awesome job. Travis Star is running a really great league. Got to thank, I think that's it, actually. I think that's everybody. But got to thank that sponsor for coming on, sponsored tonight. Yeah, just thank you for watching. And I won't be here next week, but I'll be back the week after.
Well, if in that case, good luck heading to that of Bristol. Congratulations on your win here tonight, Ross, and have a fun one celebrating this.
Appreciate it, guys.
That's going to be your winner here tonight, the 11 of Ross Tatum. And Trevor, what a night it was here tonight. A lot of calamity. I think for a lot of drivers, they're going to look back and try to fix on some of these massive wrecks that we got to see here late. As we get to take a look at the results, the unofficial results here tonight of some of the drivers switching up. Ross Tatum, as well as Chris Essery, Christopher Wade, Bo Tiffany, Aaron Hale, John Dart, that of Joshua Altus, Zachary Peterson, Nick Holland, and Ken Campbell will be your top 10.
And, for Aaron Hale, a guy we didn't talk, very much about all night, finishing inside the top 5. Nick Holland, after so many incidents, getting a top 10. Ken Campbell, the same thing. But, you got to look further on down the field. Cameron Sarton, 16th, after having a good car all night. Andrew Medlin down there in 12th. After dominating the second half of this race, getting caught up in a couple of incidents. And, even the 94 of Altus actually able to recover and finish 7th after all the damage he had. So I think for a lot of these drivers, just happy to be out of here. Especially for Altus, able to recover up and get a top 10 after the night he had. Some drivers happy with their finishes and others not so much.
Yeah, I think some are happy to get out of here as soon as possible, and we head to a track that a lot of drivers know and is one of the most well-known tracks here on iRacing. It's Charlotte Motor Speedway. Going to be our next destination for the Full Send Racing Series. For the 11 of Ross Tatum, he got it done here tonight, able to find himself into victory lane. But Trevor, another race to look forward to. Charlotte, it should be a little bit of closer action than I'm expecting these drivers to have.
Yeah, Charlotte's going to be a good race. These cars always put on a good show at Charlotte. They're super fun to drive around there. It's going to be great battling. Who knows? Maybe with Ross Tatum not being there, we might see another repeat winner with maybe Cameron Sarton. Or maybe we'll get our 6th winner in 7 races, and maybe one of these other guys will get themselves locked into the playoffs. We've seen speed out of Andrew Medlin, Chris Essery knocking on the door. It's his second place finish here this season. Bo Tiffany, those guys looking forward to getting to Charlotte and seeing what these guys can do.
And also, there's rumors of new drivers joining the league, showing out that of next week. So you never know. Maybe some more newcomers, new rookies might show out, like we've been seeing from Ross Tatum and others. But for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining us on Tuesday night coverage of the Full Send Racing Series. It's only just the start. We got plenty more broadcasts throughout the week. Tomorrow night's going to be the Wicked Racing League. And then on Thursdays, Stars and Stripes. Then going to be having a break on Friday, with Saturday going back with the WSSR Roast Gems Cup Series. Then the Next Gen Cup Series on Sunday, the 802 Next Gen Cup Series, going to be having their final race of the season. And then ISRC going to be having their run Monday night. And then we're right back here for more racing action to be covered as we go to that of Charlotte. No longer the Roval. We got done with that race for week 4. Week number 8, it's the Oval. See how these drivers can attack. But for myself, Sam Dyer, for Trevor Earhart, for Robert Moyer, and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you throughout the week or next week. Have a good one, everybody.